loved it. I'll send you a copy. Bam! Bitch went down.
And welcome back to Horror Queers. We are talking eye trauma. We're talking liver disease that makes you look jaundiced. And we're talking bitchy sorority sisters. I'm Joe.
And I'm Trace, and we're talking more Weinstein shenanigans, which I didn't know when we planned this movie.
How many fucking times are those a-holes going to come up on this podcast? I'm swearing like a sailor. We're 2 minutes in.
We probably should have spaced this out further away from Curse. Oh, but actually, Joe, we didn't even have this originally on the schedule. It wasn't until the new remake. I'm sorry, y'all, we're talking the 2006 remake of Black Christmas. Not the good Black Christmas, although apparently that's a contentious thing because I've had quite a few gays come after me the past couple of days to defend this movie.
Yes, we're talking about the 2006 remake of Black Christmas, sometimes referred to as Black Xmas, but mostly just by people who can't spell.
I don't do the weird spelling stuff. I think we talked about this offline. But like people have,
I like Vivitch.
Yeah, when it's like 7. But you've heard his voice. We do have a guest on this episode. And again, a person who selected this film full well knowing that he'd have to watch this movie on his birthday.
Oh.
So thank you for that. Please welcome the Supervisor of Acquisitions for World of Death, Alex Wiggins.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. And also, this was probably one of the best ways to spend my birthday.
I mean, you're a masochist, man.
Now, Alex, but you like this movie, right?
Yeah, I actually do. It's like a total... I hate using the term like guilty pleasure because there's always someone like, don't feel guilty. And it's like, I'm sorry. But I like it. There's something fun in it, like when stuff starts going down.
I think we've got all sides of the spectrum here because you're on like the very, very like side of the spectrum. I'm in the middle where like when I first saw it in theaters in 2006, because I did see this Christmas Day, I think, in 2006, because I was working in a movie theater at the time, I really disliked it. And I watched it again last night, and I gotta say, I had fun with it. I don't think it's a good movie, but I had fun watching it, so I'm in the middle of this spectrum, and then Joe's on the opposite end, where he's like, nope, not a good movie.
Okay, wait, can we contextualize that? Because you always make me sound like the fucking asshole in the virtual room. I like 50% of this movie a whole lot, and then every time I watch the other 50%, I just get increasingly more mad, and I'm pretty sure it's obvious which half I do like and which half I don't.
Sorority girls!
The hard part of it is, though, is that it's not like, oh, the first half is this and the second half is this. No, they interweave all...
You gotta wade through the shit.
Yes, and so it's like whole chunks of movie where you're just like...
The pacing is super weird.
Oh my god, the pacing.
It's weird.
Yeah. And then what I like about this movie coming back, especially last night watching it, is I too saw this in we tried to see it in theaters when it first came out, and the projector stopped working. And so they gave us all a free ticket to something else and go
It was
home.
a hint.
Yeah. It was, well, I didn't learn from that because then the next night we went back to go see it. And that was where I had actually my first encounter with a hate crime before I was even out. Yeah. I live
at Black Christmas?
Yeah, at Black Christmas. A group of rednecks were there, and they were like harassing us. It was super weird. Challenged me to a fight. I was like, I don't know you guys. I'm like,
and you were like, have you seen this film filled with diva bitches?
Wait,
like,
was the attempted hate crime in the theater of Black Christmas, or was it like in the parking lot?
It was in... Actually, it started in the theater because I think I laughed at something a character said, and then he called me like a faggot. I don't know if I can say that.
No, yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Sorry. He called me that from out of nowhere, and it was just like, okay, dude. And then he followed me when we were exiting and the movie was over, and in the lobby, pushed me down and then said some shit.
Oh.
It was super weird. But yeah, that's my fun memory of seeing this movie.
You're based in LA, Alex. Did this happen in LA or did you grow up somewhere else?
Oh, I grew up in North Georgia. So this was this was like someone who talks like this and had chew and John Deere. kind of thing.
Not to stereotype, but also the shoe fits.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks. But so not only did your first attempt to watch this movie get fucked up by the projector, the second one is marred by this memory of a hate crime. So,
And like you said, I should have learned, but did I?
You
No,
know-
'cause bought it on DVD.
I don't want to say that's why you like the movie, but maybe there's like a psychological effect though, where like you had this movie juxtaposed against this awful traumatic experience, and it therefore made this movie look a lot better in hindsight.
Or
Katie Cassidy came out.
your
inside me.
gay ass is like, you know what? Fuck the haters. I'm going to embrace this movie all the harder.
Sure.
Yeah, let's go with that one. It
But
makes
no-
me sound like a martyr.
I don't mean to belittle trauma, obviously, like it's
Oh well,
traumatic.
I didn't mean to like make that like a whole footnote. It was more of
No!
What I think is funny about it was the point of that was being like my age at that time. Like I was still in high school and I wasn't out. And then I watched it like last night, and I'm like, oh my god! Like the technology in this movie makes me go crazy. And
Are
it's
you
just
talking about flip phones?
Red
'Cause I
razors,
love
the
me a
ra-
flip.
Ooh.
Oh my god, the razor conversation. There's a deleted scene that's all about cell phones in this
Oh.
movie.
There's a part though where she's texting, where Katie Cassidy's texting Michelle Trachtenberg to be like, "Where are you?" And like, it always makes me laugh when they have like texting, like when they show what they're texting, because it's like old people trying to feel.
Oh
like,
my
how are
god!
the kids texting?
You at question mark. That's when you're like, it will take me 25 minutes to get to a U, so I can only afford one of these letters.
Yeah, it was like a T9 thing.
Yeah, but it was oh god, the kids in T9. If you don't know what T9 is, Google it. But it made before iPhones, it was really hard to text.
Oh my gosh.
Or before Blackberries, I guess.
This brings me back to our Swim Fan episode, Trace, where I had to explain to you how, like, fax machines and other
No,
things
it was
work.
it was a pager. I didn't know how a pager
Right.
worked. I was
Yes.
so perplexed by how a pager worked. Yes, so we are discussing this movie though because this episode's going to drop 2 days before the new remake is coming out, so we timed that perfectly. We're also discussing this film because next week is the 45th anniversary of the original film, so hopefully we, got a head start on it because I feel like
Everyone and their dog is going to do it?
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like when things like this get announced, that typically like all the podcasts jump on it because again, doing something that's timely is going to increase your SEO and make people find you. So
Also, I think like everyone knows the original is like super staple, but I think even this one like it's a franchise that has its audience and they're like a devoted crowd.
I think it's a more youthful crowd. And I definitely think people didn't grow up with the original, which are great. I didn't grow up with the original. I did see it in high school, and I thought it was kind of boring. And then I saw this, and I thought it was pretty stupid. I rewatched the original last Christmas, because I bought the Scream Factory Blue, plug, and I was in love with it. Like, I clearly me getting older and like having time to like absorb more horror like over like the 13 or 14 years since I'd seen the original.
That ending is creepy as shit in the original.
It is. I still have an issue with them leaving her alone in bed. Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but...
Different time period.
She's
But,
fine. What could happen to her? She's in bed.
She's pregnant. She needs to be alone with her thoughts.
Right. She's just killed her boyfriend. Oh, spoilers for a 45-year-old film.
Yeah, exactly. But no, so we could have discussed that film, but we thought this might be more appropriate because, as we've mentioned and hinted at, it is full of bitchy ladies.
Oh, actually, before you get into it, one last thing. We also wanted to acknowledge all of the people who took the time to fill out our survey, and a couple of you actually requested as your specific episode, if you won the raffle, you would like us to do this film. So, here you go. You didn't win,
Yeah.
but we're still doing
You
it
kind
for
of
ya.
won.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of won, but we're not going to credit you with it. And if we draw your name out when we're pulling names out of a hat, and we get Black Christmas, we're going to throw it away because we're covering it now.
It's true. Doesn't everybody win when we cover Black Christmas, the remake, 2006?
I don't know. But on that note, though, y'all should look out next week if you're a patron because we are going to be covering the 2019 Black Christmas for Patreon in December.
Mm-hmm.
So, patreon.com/horrorqueers. Give us some money and you can listen to us talk about that.
Well done. Well,
Yay! So, okay, Black Christmas, released on Christmas Day 2006.
counter programming.
Yes, and that was a Monday. So rather than just release it on the 22nd, like a normal person, or wait, 25, 24, 28, yeah, the 22nd, like Friday the 22nd. No.
Yeah, like get that weekend money. Although apparently Christmas Eve is one of the worst box office days of the year, so maybe they were just like, I'll just do it.
But Christmas
well,
Day
kids
is
are also
good.
out of school.
Yeah.
Like teens and stuff.
Well, okay, so, oh god, this movie. So, released by Dimension Films, runtime of 91 minutes. Unless you live in Europe, it has a runtime of 84 minutes. That has the alternate Michelle Trachtenberg death in it, when she gets her eyes gouged out and like pulled through with her eye sockets down the hallway. With a budget of $9 million.
Not bad.
Not bad, but
Yeah.
Opening weekend rank of number 15. It made $3.4 million. And would go on to gross $16.3 million. So it did make its money back. A worldwide total of $21.5 million against a $9 million budget. But, like, I don't think it ever cracked the top 10. The widest release it had was, like, just over 1,500 theaters, which is also very small for, like, a major theatrically release film.
Yeah, I don't know if that suggests that they did not have a lot of faith in this movie, or if they were just like, we're gonna dump it. I don't know.
It also, I'm trying to remember how big the remake and slasher craze was at this point.
And Trace would know that. He's pretty good at the 2000s remakes.
I mean, this is 2000. Well, here's the thing. So the slasher craze wasn't really a thing anymore. I don't really think we've had a slasher craze since, like, that post-Scream era. We've had slasher movies, but there hasn't been, like, you know, super, like, successful box office wise. But this is 2006, so this is coming on the heels of Hostel and Saw. I think this was released the same year as Saw 3.
So torture porn's coming into the picture.
Right, and we'll probably get into it a little bit when we talk about the production, like, whenever that happens. But yeah, so Glen Morgan, who wrote and directed this movie, Glen Morgan is notable for, co-writing. Yes, he's written a lot of X-Files. He's directed a couple episodes. He co-wrote Final Destination with James Wong, who directed Final Destination, but co-produced this movie with him. He also directed the horror remake Willard, which was, I haven't seen, but apparently pretty good, but it was a huge box office flop. And so he reportedly only agreed to do this movie because he wanted to do another remake, and he liked the idea of, like, this, you know, classic, like, precursor to slasher movies, blah 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 blah, and, like, doing something different with it. But he basically said, like, if this movie flopped, then he would never get a directing job again, because he had 2 movies in a row that flopped, and this one did flop, kind of, and he hasn't directed a movie since.
Yeah, he even said on the behind the scenes, straight up, he's like, I'll be in director's jail. Or death row. He called it director's death row jail. And I was just like, Jesus.
Well, Joe, you said you were watching some behind the scenes stuff on YouTube, and he seemed not happy.
Yeah. So there seemed to be a documentary that was all about him specifically, but I could only find an excerpt. It's about a 5-minute clip. I'll see if I can track it down.
I saw the whole thing last night. It's on the DVD.
Yeah. So he talks about how he basically wanted to revisit this and give it a modern day take. But then he and his wife, Kristen Cloak, who plays Lee in the film. So basically, Glen Morgan and Kristen Cloak on this featurette, they talk about how much he hates modern day horror films. Like, the emphasis on gore and jump scares. They basically just shit all over that. So it's very obvious that even though he was excited about making this film and having another crack at direction and being very fearful it wasn't going to work, he's also like, I'm just eating a shit sandwich and giving the masses, like the idiot masses, what they want, and then it still bombs.
Well, that's what's interesting too, though. Is so, like, Bob Clark, the director of the original film, who he's also directed A Christmas Story, which I have never seen and I have no desire to.
What?
I have no desire to see that movie. Like,
I find it very annoying. A lot of people love it. It has a lot of fun plot points to it.
Did you guys catch the leg lamp reference?
Yes,
I saw.
That is fun.
I saw it in the IMDb trivia that it's in the movie, but I did not spot it.
It's whenever fucking Mary Elizabeth Winston is like, at least my family wants me home for Christmas.
Oh,
and
God,
like,
that is such a bitchy line, and
I know, right?
No, her. I don't know if it's her, if it's Michelle, if it's oh my God, Lacey Chabert. When Miss Mack is like talking about Eve, going, her mother was a legacy. And her mother's dead.
Yeah, these girls are so mean to each other.
They
Sisters
are.
for life.
But anyway, no, so he got Bob Clark's, like, blessing to make this
Yeah.
movie. And his intention was to, like, keep it relatively, like, gore-free. But enter Bob and Harvey Weinstein, who were like, hey, blood and gore is really popular right now. So, like, they filmed it, and they made them go back and do more reshoots. They have 3 different endings. I'm sorry, 4 different endings for this movie, because there's 3 alternate endings.
Trailer stuff.
Oh,
And yes, hey, so that's what I remember for this movie the most. And what sucks is, normally, that wouldn't bother me that much.
Oh yeah, they film shit for trailers and then it doesn't make the movie all the time. They
But
just
this
don't
was, like,
usually do
full
it.
set pieces.
Yes.
Yeah, well, they don't usually do that, and they also don't usually do it without the fucking director.
Yeah. And so, listeners, if you don't know what that's like a reference to, basically, after production in Vancouver, because this is Canadian, after it concluded, Bob and Harvey Weinstein basically went to Los Angeles. That's what they're in Los Angeles. They shot more footage in Los Angeles, intended only for the trailers, which includes Lacey Chabert getting flipped off a roof wrapped in Christmas lights, Lacey Chabert getting dragged under the house, like, by some kind of claw machine.
Except that it's not actually her in either case. It's some random actress that they hired.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it looks
And then
like
some
Lacey
sorority
Chabert.
sister that's not even in the movie. The one
Is
who's
that-
at the lake.
Yes, like, yeah, there's a body under the frozen lake ice thing, and, like, her hand jumps up. I mean, but it's so cool. But that's the thing, yeah. Like, if you go see this movie, which, okay, 91 minutes, but 10 of those minutes are credits. Because I checked, and this movie ends at the 82-minute mark.
Whoa.
And 80 minutes of them are also kind of unbearable.
I don't feel like that. But it's so weird. So I don't know if it's with test screenings, like, you know, you'd have to talk to Glen Morgan and Bob and Harvey Weinstein to figure out what happened with this movie. But it's
Yeah, there's some kind of true Hollywood story waiting in the wings because something went fucking awry here.
But here's the thing, though. Okay, yes, they're fucking this up with all the gore, like, whatever. Do you think, same thing with Cursed, you know? Like, do you think, even though, like, maybe the issue that was originally, the film that was originally filmed still wasn't good to begin with? Because, again, his script isn't great.
Well, have you looked at the actual script?
No. But I mean, just based on what is on display here.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because I wonder if he wrote a treatment. And again, speculation, have no idea. Haven't looked at the script. If people want to flip it to us, as always, we'd welcome that. I wonder if he wrote a treatment that was more honest to what he was looking for, like what he was excited to do. And then they came back and they were like, where's the blood? Where's the gore? Where's the nudity? And where's, like, the eyeball eating?
I think, though, what actually happened was he had met Bob Clark and had basically said something about, like, Billy and the backstory, and Bob Clark was like, yeah, I totally had one.
Yes.
And then he incorporated that into it.
Which...
Yeah, because Bob Clark has famously been like, I had the whole backstory for Billy, and I just never revealed it.
Well, the thing is, though, like, the original Black Christmas is 97 minutes long, because I actually just rewatched that again the day before I rewatched this remake. That movie is 97 minutes long, so it's longer than this, but he fits in so much more that feels necessary. I mean, we'll probably get it when we talk about the plot, but, like, I really think if you took the flashbacks in this movie, condensed them to one scene that is a pre-title card sequence,
yes,
that would save this movie a lot.
I want a fan re-edit, and I just want, like, actresses, like, or drag queens, like, impersonating these girls and just flesh them out a little bit more. So open with that Billy scene, and then recut the film, and then give me more of these girls.
Well, and also, though, I got the impression that he was trying to make something a bit classier, like the original film, but then he has this, like, weird incest jaundice storyline, and that's in there since inception. The only thing that the Weinsteins made him add was Agnes as a second killer, because that wasn't in his original script.
Oh, because they needed a twist, I'm guessing, because then...
I guess?
Because then the reveal would be, what, like, at, like, the halfway point that they're like, oh, well, Billy's on the fucking walls.
No, I
don't
see.
know.
I actually think what he originally did, because again, if you look at the featurettes, they say that the calls are coming from inside the house. That's not the twist, because obviously that's the twist of the first film.
Right.
I think the twist in this case was that Billy was not going to be in it, and that it was going to be Agnes was living in the walls the whole time. So you think it's Billy, but it's actually the sister Agnes.
They were like, fuck it, do it both.
Yeah, now whether or not that was going to be Eve, and then they just changed their minds, is also another question I've always had.
That would also make more sense. But yeah, unfortunately, unless we can get our hands on the original script, which, listeners, some of you have become very good at doing that, so and sending us that script. So if you find Glen Morgan's original script for this movie, please email it to us at horrorquiz@gmail.com.
Or, Glen Morgan, when you're listening, just reach out to us.
If the script actually has the "you at?" line written in it, I need an express sent.
I think, and maybe you know this better, Alex, but I feel like normally when that happens, like that's always like a green screen that they CGI over, right?
I think, here's the weird part. In my roommate, because I watched this with my roommate, because I pulled the birthday bitch card, and I was like, you gotta watch it too.
Wow.
And it's okay. I got them high. It was okay. But we were watching it, and a lot of those like close-ups where the girls are holding their phones, I get distracted now because they're clearly like the actresses are not filming for this insert shot, and it's like man hands. And so like,
well, it's often second unit inserts, right?
Yeah, and so it's insane. So it's like when Mary Elizabeth Winston is in the closet of the weird girl, and there's like that weird
weird girl.
Yeah,
she is a weird girl. Come on,
she's super weird.
Yeah, she was fucking strange as shit. But she's in there, and then all the close-ups of her phone and her hands on it, it's like those are man hands. Those are not.
Yeah, that's Glen Morgan's hand, right?
No, it's Harvey Weinstein.
So many young girls in this set. Promising actresses. I've got a closet you can audition for me in.
I was actually surprised there wasn't more, because there isn't really a lot of nudity. I think you see like Crystal Lowe's butt crack. I don't even think you see her tits.
No, you see her tits. In the
you see her tits?
Version. Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember. I mean, like maybe it's like side tit.
It's
like
side tit.
Yeah.
Also, she's naked in like every movie. I recently looked at her IMDb, and she does like all these.
Who
like,
is she?
She was in Wrong Turn 2. She gave the director head in that one.
Wait, you're forgetting the big one. So yes, Wrong Turn 2, she's really good in it. She gets her back like clawed the fuck up. Joe, have you seen Wrong Turn 2?
I have, but I don't remember tons of it.
But you're forgetting she's one of the tanning bed girls in Final Destination 3.
Yes. Also
okay. So she's another connection to Final Destination.
She's one of the Ashleys.
Yes. Okay,
Glen Morgan did that one too, right?
He co-wrote it.
Yeah, he co-wrote it with James Wan, but James Wan directed it. So the team from the first movie that skipped out on the second movie came back for the third movie. But that's the thing,
I'm convinced that that's why Mary Elizabeth Winstead is in this film.
Yes. Okay, so...
Well, they both have said that they liked working with them.
Y'all are also forgetting that this came out like just months after Final Destination 3. Like it was like 6 months later, and they were
back-to-back productions.
They were both filmed in Vancouver.
Yeah.
So basically,
everything is filmed in Vancouver.
Yeah, but apparently, so I'm sure Crystal Lowe, or Lau, or whatever you want to say, she just hopped aboard. But apparently, they asked Mary Elizabeth Winstead right after they finished filming Final Destination 3 if she wanted to be in this, and the only reason she agreed is because she didn't want to be the final girl. So she was like, "Yeah, as long as I get to not be the final girl, because I don't want to be typecast." So she just stayed in Vancouver.
Same with Michelle.
Well, yes. So go ahead.
All
Alex.
these girls wanted to die.
Yeah,
in this movie,
exactly. Michelle was like didn't want to be typecast in genre because of Buffy, and then she was like, "I'll do it if you guys kill me off," and they were like, "Okay."
And because I don't know how.
Which is really just what so many Buffy fans wanted to happen on that show instead. But
there was because again,
that's right. I said it.
IMDb trivia is so dumb.
Leave the key alone.
She gets killed in the theatrical version of this movie with ice skates to the head, and that's same year or the year before she was just in a Disney movie called Ice Princess with Kim Cattrall, where she played an ice skater.
Yeah, remember she with 1 week of training, she goes to qualifies for the Olympics.
Oh my god,
is this a Hallmark movie?
So yeah, I mean, anyway, so we can talk about the cast as we go through the plot. Before we go to your plot, though, Joe, so reception, it's quick. I mean, no one liked this movie. We're looking at a 15% of Rotten Tomatoes with an average score of 3.37 out of 10. Audience score of 38% with an average score of 5.54 out of 10. And then Metacritic critic score of 22 out of 100 with a user score of 47 out of 100. Alex, I think you're right, though. I do think that this movie has gained not a large following, but a sizable following since its release.
If I can say from personal experience, growing up, since I was such a sober Sally in high school, I notoriously hosted like movie nights, and we'd go to Blockbuster and just rent like a shit ton of movies, or like ones that just came out from theaters that I was like, oh, if you guys have to see this. And like we had a couple where we watched this, so I definitely can see it as it being like a movie that kids were throwing on at like a party or like maybe a sleepover, and like kind of grew up with it a little bit.
Well, it wasn't. I mean, it couldn't have been that financially successful because we still don't have a Blu-ray release of this movie.
Well, you guys do.
I mean, Canada does.
Mwah, mwah, mwah.
But it's out of print.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I feel like this film, as we talked about on a recent mini-sode for Holiday Horror, you and I, Trace, talked about how we felt like this would be a great film to end a movie marathon on because it's so dumb and you'll be wasted and you'll just be like, these bitches. Yeah. Okay, we're good.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and it's true because I mean, it is a fun, dumb little movie. It's just not good. Although I will go to bat for Glen Morgan's directing style. I actually think this movie is shot well, and I do think it's directed well.
Agreed.
I will say that the cinematographer, Robert McLaughlin, is a holdover not only from Willard and Final Destination 1 and 3, but also from Cursed.
Oh, poor boy.
But most of this cast and crew is like from the Final Destination 1 and 3 and also from the X-Files.
Dude, between this and Cursed, Homeboy has a thing for the color blue in his palettes.
Oh, God.
I mean, it's a lot of red and green here.
Sure, well, whenever the power goes out or whenever they're like investigating, there's like a lot of like blues. It's super.
I mean, half of this movie is eye horror because they're all like doing shit with their phones, using them as flashlights.
But you know what, though? I don't think I've seen a horror movie that's more
festive?
that looks more Christmassy than this one.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost overboard.
Oh yeah, I mean it's like a high school theater production of like Christmas the musical.
Yeah, more lights.
Well, speaking of that, I would like to point out about this house. I am insanely concerned and confused about the amount of girls that live in this house. Because it seems every time you go into a character's room, it's a room for one. And they have like a queen-size bed to themselves. And then it's just like there's that part where they're all sitting around and like downstairs. And I think it's Michelle Trachtenberg just goes off.
Trachtenberg.
Yeah, sorry.
Trachtenberg.
It's okay. Just call her Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle. She goes like, well, Kelly, Betty, and like Cameron are off like at a ski lodge, and like
you're like, wait, there are more girls living in this house?
Like between them, they list like 7 more girls, and I'm just like, where the fuck do they sleep?
Which is all the better because in the flashbacks we see that this is a house for a family of 3.
Okay, there is also so the end of the flashbacks take place in 1991, and there's a part where Kristen Cloak is like, you know, I'm a legacy. Oh, what year were you? 1993. And I'm like, wait. So this murder house was open 2 years later for a sorority?
Oh yeah, they cleaned house. They gave it a Javex wipe down, and then they moved the sorority girls in.
God,
they did the extreme home makeover.
Yeah, exactly.
Murder house edition.
Okay, shall we dig into it?
Let's go with this short but also very long movie.
I was going to say, I think this plot recap is going to be longer than the film itself.
Yes, which has happened before.
So, in the pre-title sequence, Alpha Kappa sorority girl Claire, Leela Savasta, which is a person who exists.
Yeah.
She's brutally stabbed in the eye with a ballpoint pen while struggling to write the inscription on a Christmas card for her sister.
I like the way this is done. I think it's a fun pre-title card sequence.
Oh, I thought you were talking about her calligraphy. Yeah.
Oh,
she's got some good skills.
I did like that.
Her penmanship is fantastic.
Awesome.
It's really good.
It's so. Me and my roommate both were like, "Oh my god, she has the writing of an angel."
Doesn't it also kind of make you want to get back into calligraphy, like the lost art of writing by hand?
We also talked about that.
Okay, wait. So get back. Did you used to do calligraphy, Joe?
100%.
Oh, I've never done
cool.
that.
I mean,
I had a pen for it, and I tried, and I sucked ass.
Yeah. let's just say, Trace, feel free to drop an ageism on this, but I went to school in a time period where you actually had to learn how to write cursively.
No, I did too. I had to learn how to write cursive.
Yeah.
But
I learned it, but it was always threatened that it was like everything you will ever do has to be in cursive.
Oh yeah, like when you write letters, you're going to have good penmanship. Fast forward.
Did they teach cursive anymore?
Someone should tell us if they're listening and knows anyone.
Let us know, people.
If there's any 5-year-olds listening, are you learning how to write right now?
You're cool.
Anyway, but no, this sequence does a good job of letting you know what kind of movie you're in for.
Well, it's very much like, hey, remember Black Christmas? Stabby stabby.
Well, and then it's like the cut to the title card, which
so hideous.
It got a laugh out of me though.
God, you're such a laugh slut.
I mean, I think because I knew like what I was about to watch, and I was like, fuck it, like this is gonna be a hot mess. I'm just gonna go with it.
It does capture the tone.
It does.
Okay, so in the haphazardly locked Clark Sanitarium, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, Santa and a security guard drop a metric ton of exposition all about killer Billy Lenz, played by Robert Mann, which is, wow. Okay.
An actor who exists.
Also that, yes.
No, there was a point where he looked just like Cillian Murphy to me, but yellow, and I was like, huh.
Like if he was a giant Cillian Murphy.
Like, no. Sometimes this actor looked tall and skinny, and other times, especially at the end of the hospital, he looked very short and stocky. And so I didn't know if it was the same guy or if they had switched him around a couple times.
No, what happened with that was a reshoot thing because this has the Scream 4 effect where it was supposed to end at the house.
I called it!
No, because all 4 endings for this movie take place in that hospital.
Well, but originally they were going to end at the house, and then they added on a hospital.
Well, no, because even the original ending that was filmed, the one like that Glen Morgan had wrote, is when they get a call at the end of the movie from the ex-boyfriend's phone, so it's like, oh, that's Billy calling them.
And she's just laying in the hospital bed.
Yes, they're in the hospital bed. So they do make it, but there's no set piece at the hospital.
Right. Yeah, there's no action.
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh. Okay.
And so they were forced to go back and make it cool.
But instead so in the beginning though, we have this orderly scene at the institution that is very reminiscent, and Joey told you this earlier today, but of the same scene in Halloween Resurrection when the nurse is telling the other nurse like, oh, this is how we're retconning the end of the last movie so that Jamie Lee Curtis can die.
Which, in theory, makes sense here, because you're getting introduced to your killer in case people don't know the origin story of the original Black Christmas, which is all fine and good if this was the only backstory that we were getting. But instead, this just feels redundant because we're about to get 25 fucking minutes of flashback.
Yeah. Also, shout out to the nurse in the scene.
Oh, the thirsty nurse?
Yeah, if I sit on your lap, do I get a big present? Which she says to him out loud in a hallway, and then
surrounded by patients and other orderlies.
Yeah, walks by, and it's like, what the fuck? And then my roommate brought up a really good point. They were like, what's up with Christmas movies with like a semi-attractive girl always wanting to fuck a gross fat Santa?
Well, I also think, okay, scenes like this, which, I mean, maybe this was a reshoot, maybe like just this little snippet, but it's like, come on, Glen Morgan, like, you weren't making some high art slasher film, like, you were making some trashy shit.
Yeah, this is this is so Silent Night, Deadly Night to me, to be honest.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For sure.
Which maybe that's a homage, and we're just shitting on his creative enterprise. I don't know. Anyway, so we learn here that Billy Lenz has killed and eaten his family on Christmas Eve 15 years earlier, and he attempts to escape every single year. What do you think's going to happen this year, guys?
He actually escapes.
He actually escapes! But not right now, because we've got to introduce other people.
But because they mentioned later in the movie that Agnes had recently been let out of whatever institution she was in. So I was like, okay, so maybe he knew that, so that he was timing it. I missed the part about how he tried to escape every year.
I mean, it's a blink and you miss it kind of throwaway line.
Yeah.
But would they have more
security?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why that guard is meant to be there. I felt this watch.
Well, but the
guard,
the guard walking into the room to check on him. I know we're not there yet, but and leaves the door open.
Oh my god!
Him going in the room though doesn't make any sense. It makes absolutely no sense.
No, like, oh, you don't see him? Cool. Check on you in the morning. Okay, so at this point, we're introduced to our heroine, Kelly, played by a pre-Arrowverse Katie Cassidy. And Trace, we've made this joke before where she was like, give me money, give me roles. I will literally suck the copper off a pipe in order to get a break into Hollywood.
So this
God
is, I
bless
think,
her.
this is the last horror remake she did, because she did When a Stranger Calls for. Oh wait, fuck no! It was When a Stranger Calls, then this, and then Nightmare on Elm Street.
I do love the days when she was a little scream queen.
Oh yeah, I mean, because this was also, I think, before her Melrose Place reboot, but
Yes.
maybe during her Gossip Girl thing, because that's also
I forgot about that.
That's also her connection with Michelle Trachtenberg, because Michelle Trachtenberg was Georgina Sparks on Gossip Girl.
Right. And in case you're wondering, Glen Morgan was not a huge fan. I'm sure he was fond of the girls once he got to know them, but he also talks a little bit of shit about, in addition to the blood and the gore and the jump scares, he's also like, yeah, and they forced me to have a second ending and get all of these OC actors on. To which you're like, oh, did you mean the CW? But yes.
Yeah, I saw that quote and I was like, the OC? Like, fucking Misha Barton's not in this movie.
Oh my god. Can you imagine, though? Recast.
I mean, because people shit on Katie Cassidy lots, because in those CW shows, like, for the longest time, she was stuck with this Blando version of Laurel Lance, and then they kill her.
And then she comes back as a way better character.
Right, because she's like Earth 2 Laurel or some other Earth Laurel, and she's evil. And it's like, okay, cool. So it's like the Angel Angelus thing, but like, I mean, it's not as nuanced as that. It's real just kind of dumb. But
yeah, she wears black lipstick, and that's it.
Yeah, but like, she does evil really well.
She's serious.
It's made her a better character for it. But we don't just meet Katie Cassidy in this scene. Who else do we meet?
Oh, yes. Okay. So we also meet her boyfriend, Kyle, Oliver Hudson.
Snooze. Again, I'm going to keep
Oliver.
saying it because I just found this out, but brother of Kate Hudson.
Yes. This is an established fact that is only new to you.
I know.
I didn't know that.
Oh my
until
God.
Scream Queens.
You
when he
fucking
was on
baby
Scream
gaze.
Queens.
No idea. And he looks way too old to be in this movie still.
Yes. His character makes no sense when you think about him.
He's literally a red herring. Well, not literally, but he is playing a red herring character. That is his sole function.
So that's
becomes super misogynistic to the point where...
Oh my god, I love those scenes. You're just like, wait, what? Did you take a rage pill?
It comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes you question Katie Cassidy's character's choices, because you're like, girl, was there never... like, on any of the dates, any of these little red flags, or like a blow up?
Because here's the thing: in the first scene, in his introductory scene, we're privy to the fact that he cheated on her with Dale Bozzio from iZombie. I don't know that.
Well,
woman's
it's
name.
a hint. It's a hint. Her name is Megan in this movie, and her real name is Jessica Harmon.
Okay, cool. That sounds right. But no, because he calls her and she's like yelling and angry, and then. At this point, you see the computer screen because she's watching them have sex on the computer, which also weird.
Actually, you don't see that right then, but yeah, because you don't actually get any of this. You just get like little snippets, and then we cut back to the sanitarium, and then we cut back to the girls.
Well, that's the thing. The first 35 minutes of this movie, it's so much. So you get the institution scenes, you get the flashback scenes, you get the drama with Katie Cassidy and Oliver Hudson and Dale Bozzio, and you get the rivalry between Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Crystal Lau. You have Andrea Martin looking for presents constantly and never being able to find them.
Mm-hmm. Despite the fact that there's about 10.
No, every time she looks at presents, like, this woman is terrible at finding presents.
Also, what's weird about Mary Elizabeth's character is in one of the behind the scenes thing, she describes her character as a Southern debutante.
Oh, and it comes out in a single line of dialogue here, where you can hear her accent when she talks about her father, and then never again. I have a joke about it later.
And it really sucks because Winstead and Chabert have the least to do in this movie. Chabert specifically, like, she really gets like the short shrift with all of her scenes, and it's really unfortunate.
I was wondering this because she also broke her ankle or something while filming, and that's why her death scene, she's like laying down. Apparently at some point there could have been like a chase scene or something, but she was like incapacitated, so she had to like mostly, like, they had to alter her scenes to where she didn't.
Bitch,
And that's why we never got the lake scene.
That's when you kill Michelle Trachtenberg, and then you let, like, and do a chase scene with her, and then you kill Chabert with the ice skates later.
True.
Right?
Anyway, go ahead.
Mistakes were made.
It's not a perfect movie.
No. Okay, so we've got...
Understatement of the century.
So we've got Kelly with her boyfriend Kyle, KK, out in the car. And then, so he calls Megan, and we're meant to just infer, oh, okay, he's on the phone. And then we see this girl that we don't know also on a phone inside a house with no dialogue. I guess we'll figure that out later, which we do. In the living room, we're introduced to Miss Mac, Andrea Martin, the sole carryover from the original film.
And she's having fun in this movie. Andrea Martin's having quite a blast.
Yeah, you can tell that she gets to ham it up, although I'm always disappointed that why don't you make Mrs. Mac a drunk in this movie as well?
She said something about that.
The two big takeaways that I'm like, why wouldn't you just leave that? It's Miss Mac being a drunk, and the abortion subplot of the original.
I'm happy that they do away with that because I don't think that this movie would have handled it responsibly.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
Like, that to me is the legacy of the original film. Like, it's got a bunch of precursors to what would eventually become slasher canon.
Mm-hmm.
But really, for me, when you go back and you rewatch that film, it's a 1974 film that's dealing with a woman's right to choose.
Yeah.
It's revolutionary.
It is, and people forget about it. Like that, even though it takes up a good amount of screen time.
Oh my god, it's the only thing that Jess is doing in that movie until like the very end, and even then, like that's why it's so powerful that she ends up killing her boyfriend because you're like, oh, that's the father of your child, and his whole subplot is about trying to break in to convince her not to get an abortion.
Well, yeah, she's gonna kill the father, then she's gonna kill the baby later.
Oh my god, secret pro-life movie.
Yeah.
No, pro-choice.
Pro-choice.
Wait, moving on. Okay, so we've got Miss Mac. She's trying to initiate this secret Santa, it is her mission to get these girls to open these fucking gifts, and they could not give two shits about it. So this is where we meet the other girls. We've got Melissa, who is Michelle Trachtenberg, Dana, who is Lacey Chabert, Heather, who is Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and there are other girls lurking upstairs, and we'll meet them in a few minutes.
Well, so I mean, because
lurking,
and you know, I can tell all these girls apart because I knew all of them as actresses. I was very familiar with Lacey Chabert from Mean Girls and Wild Thornberrys. Mary Elizabeth Winstead was Sky High and Final Destination 3. But it's like, they all have one trait. So, I mean, Katie Cassidy doesn't
beautiful
really have a
hair.
trait. She's just the girl, like the main girl that is like obviously the final girl.
She's the blonde Trace.
Yes, exactly. Lacey Chabert is like the bitch on her phone who is like, doesn't really care about anything. Trachtenberg is the good girl.
Ish.
I would not say that.
I would actually say Heather's the good girl.
No,
Yeah,
Heather's the snobby rich girl.
Michelle has a lot of forced cussing in this movie.
She does.
Every time she drops an F-bomb, it's just, I can feel like it's someone nudging me, being like, dude, she was an ice princess in, like, kids' movies, and now she's saying the F word.
My god, Dawn just dropped an F-bomb, man.
Yeah, exactly. It's
but I mean, like, she's the nice one. Like, she's not bitchy.
Yeah.
Like,
she's the one who's trying to smooth everything over.
Yes.
Well, I guess she's also the only one willing to take care of the drunk, sloppy one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, even the introductory scene, like, it should have gone on for longer, like, to get these girls to know each other. I actually, and I might be jumping ahead, but I actually do find Crystal Lowe's character, Lauren, the most likable. And it's in the scene when she's teaching Katie Cassidy how to get people to go downstairs to open their presents. It's such a small little moment, but it's like a moment of camaraderie between the two girls where she's like, hey, this is how you get people to go down. Like, hey, open up. You're like, bah! And they're having fun. And I wanted more of that because even though Crystal Lowe's like supposed to be like, oh, the loose, slutty bitch, like she to me was the most interesting character in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. And then also she got to sleep through half the massacre.
Yeah. She really does.
It's like hashtag diva goals. Get white girl wasted, get somebody else to put you in the shower and take care of you, and then sleep through a massacre. Who could ask for anything more? So at this point, we've met half of our cast, so let's go back to the sanitarium, guys.
Yep. The editing is so all over the place.
It's so bad because you're only just getting to know these girls, so why not cut away from them to like a who gives a shit plot line about Billy escaping, which is literally all this does. So guard goes in, gets killed by a candy cane, and we're back to the girls.
Yeah.
So Kelly, she collects the other girls. So drunk Lauren, which is Crystal Lowe. And then we've also got Megan, who she tries to lure out. But of course, she's too busy having a freak out about the fact that her sex tape with Kyle has leaked onto the internet.
Wait, is that what the... I thought that she just owned a copy of the sex tape and was watching it, and she was upset because he wasn't with her.
No, because he says,
he specifically has a line about it. Yeah.
Yeah, a guy at work got mad at him and stole his tapes. And that's when she's like, how many fucking tapes are there?
Oh, I did... Y'all, I've seen this movie like 3 times, and I never caught that.
Yeah, well, here's what
because Trace is reenacting scenes from Lauren.
Well, yeah. I get confused as, like, did he, like, first of all, were you at work and then talking to your bro friend and like, dude, I got all these tapes in my house in this, like, area.
I've banged every girl in Alpha.
It's just like, how did that information come into that dude's grasp? And then when he gets mad at him, and he broke into his house and stole his sex tapes and uploaded them?
I don't...
What?
Yeah. And we're also, like... Megan does not interact with any of the other girls in this movie. Like, we only see her by herself, and then she gets killed.
Yeah.
Oh, well, she does tell someone to fuck off, like, whenever, because then Kelly gets nice to her. Because she's like, Megan, is everything okay? And she's like, I'm fucking fine.
Yeah, but she doesn't open the door, though.
Christmas.
She's just yelling.
Oh, yeah, no, she never, like, physically interacts with anyone.
No, Dale Basio doesn't, she just stays in the one set, and... She probably, like, filmed all these scenes at a different time.
Yeah, she probably did. There's no one on the other side of the door.
Okay, so at this point, Megan is lured up into the attic by the dulcet tones of Claire's snow globe, which is playing Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy, which is a fucking motif in this movie.
It's fine.
And she somehow manages to identify Claire's body from like 10 feet away, despite the fact that Claire is not facing her and has a bag over her face.
Wait, but hey, y'all seen Scary Movie 3, right?
Not forever.
Okay,
oh, wait, did I watch it at your place?
I don't know. It's the ring. It's the one with all the ring spoofing.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, we watched that.
Okay. The opening. Oh my god, I don't remember that. The opening scene. The opening.
It was at 6 a.m. You double ordered on McDonald's and some IHOP, I think.
Oh, so I was drunk. Okay.
Oh, you were Lauren level wasted.
Okay, so anyway, but there's a part in the opening scene with Pamela Anderson and Jenny McCarthy where she like walks in and she sees Jenny McCarthy's corpse and she's like, "Are you okay?" And then she like pushes her and like the head falls off and she's talking to the head on the ground like, "Are you okay? What's wrong?" And this part where she like climbs into the attic and she's like, she sees this corpse with a bag on its head and she's like, "Claire, what are you doing?" It's like,
Claire, you dumb bitch, get out of that rocking chair.
It's like a very like spooky setting, and it's just like clearly from her reaction, like no one ever goes in that attic, and she's just like, "Hey, girl." Hey.
Just like, what are you doing? And this is not the first one of these moments that happens in this movie because there's another one later.
It happens so fast. Yeah. Yeah, so at this point, she then gets murdered. So we are 2 sorority girls down.
Fetish.
Yeah. Okay, so now we cut back to this motherfucking sanitarium. And this is when Billy kills Santa, and he uses the costume to disguise his escape, and then he dumps the body in a garbage bin outside.
How did he kill him? Like, what did he do? They just have that shot of a bunch of blood splattering on the ground. I'm like, did he take like a cartoon anvil on his head or something?
So many of the deaths in this movie don't even make sense.
Oh, keep that in mind for when we get to the icicle death, because I have a fun.
Yeah, like in one of the behind the scenes, so in that documentary about Glen Morgan remaking this movie, there's shots of who is it? Who's his partner again?
Kristen Cloak.
No, his like writing and shooting partner.
James Wong?
James Wan?
Sorry, okay, so I'm going to do
that. Wait. Wong, not Wan.
Yes.
Yeah, very different.
Totally different.
Okay, so in this documentary on Glen Morgan, there's scenes with James Wong, like, on the set supervising some of the death sequences and, like, the blood splatter, and he actually, like, there's a whole sequence where he's kind of berating a technician for giving too much blood splatter because he says it's not convincing and it doesn't look real. And then I think of literally every death scene in this movie.
Yeah, but it's what's crazier about it is that he goes on to say why it doesn't look real, and he's like, let's just assume that when she was a little kid, she was playing like ice hockey and a puck hit her in her head. Oh my god. And she had headaches later, but she didn't think anything of it. So there's a soft spot, and that's where that icicle hit. Yeah. Like, he actually creates this, like, absurd backstory that's
as to how it makes it plausible.
Yeah. She has a weak skull, and that's why an icicle could penetrate it.
I'm still, I'm thinking about this, and just like, you know, Glen Morgan saying how like, he didn't want to do like a typical slasher because he thought slashers were stupid. And I'm like, yeah, but you did Final Destination, and then did Final Destination 3, which is arguably a much goofier movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Final Destination 3 is a movie that's so confidently goofy that it's not a shortfall at all.
Well, but it's also because James Wong directed it. Glen Morgan did not direct that one.
Fair. Okay. So, yeah, so Santa's dead. R.I.P. Fat Santa. And we're back to the girls. So, so when preachy Christian Heather complains about the tradition of procuring Killer Billy an annual gift, drunk Lauren, sorry, I added monikers to everybody because the names are so fucking generic that you can't remember. Would it just be easier if I used the girls' real names?
The actresses?
I mean, it's just funny because this movie could just be called White Women in Peril, A Tale as Old as Time.
I mean, that's a lot of horror movies.
True.
Not untrue, and yet a little bit sad. Yeah, Jesus Christ, it's apart from the security guard, is there a person of color in this entire movie?
Well, Billy.
And he's of literal color.
Are you talking about the yellow bastard from Sin City?
In my notes, it's because sometimes he doesn't look that yellow, but like there were times where I was like, he looks like that yellow bastard. Like, he is bright yellow.
Yeah, like the fact that he could hide in a dark room when he's that yellow, he's practically giving off light.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Sky High reference.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So when... Sorry, now I got to remember everybody's real names. Okay. So when Mary Elizabeth Winstead complains about this tradition of getting a serial killer an annual gift, this is when drunk Lauren... I'm not going to remember her real name, so I'm just going to call her Lauren.
That's fine.
She counters with a history lesson on paganism of the holidays. And I actually also quite like this scene because it gently chastises Christians about their ridiculousness around the holiday times.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a fun little scene. It also gives, it gives Crystal Lowe a chance to dress down another girl. And also, like, because, I mean, she's the Margot Kidder of this movie. And yeah, I mean, it's the scenes of these girls interacting.
Yes,
that we don't get enough of.
Yeah, because we're still getting to know these, and these parts are enjoyable because they're character development, and they give the girls something fucking to do in this movie.
Yeah.
So Miss Mac then starts him with the whole history of who Billy was, and we get our first flashback to 1970 when Billy was born. So we find out that his sordid history includes a rare liver disease that turns his skin, I've already made that joke, turns his skin yellow, and that he had a very fraught relationship with his mother, who is played by Karen Conoval, and of course, X-Files fans.
Dude, she fucking hated that kid.
She hated that kid. But your fun X-Files connection with this is that she plays another really bad mother in one of the most famous notorious episodes. It's Home. Yeah.
Oh my god, that is her.
That's the one episode of that show that I've seen.
That one's crazy.
That's a rough episode to go in blind to.
Yeah.
Well, because I knew that it was one of the most famous ones, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch it. I'll just like, it was a standalone episode. And listeners, if you listen to our X-Files I Want to Believe episode from 2 weeks ago, you'll know that I have not seen a lot of X-Files, so yeah.
Oh, I'm surprised you remember that episode.
I'm surprised I do too.
That's crazy.
Alex, you'll get that check tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, so his mother fucking hated him and also hated his father. So in 1975, she and her lover, Howard Siegel, murder Billy's father, and then they try to murder him, and he ends up having to escape into the walls in the attic out of reach.
They do kill the dad, though, with a plastic bag by suffocating him and then bludgeoning him with it. So the plastic bag connection makes sense as to like why Billy and Agnes do that. But
it's just, where's he getting them?
Oh, that's like a good question.
The hefty
is
garbage
he going
bag
into the kitchen under the counter where like everyone puts the ones from grocery stores?
No, he went to like a bulk barn. He's getting these from Costco because he is going through them.
The black ones only.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's why they're all. okay, so I think there was talk about doing the iconic white bag, but they wanted to distinguish them. So that's why they use black in this film as opposed to white.
Hey, it's Black Christmas, too.
There you go.
True.
I always
There
felt
you
like
go.
the black ones were more sturdy, like they were less inclined to rip unless you penetrate them with
Maybe.
unicorns.
Listeners, let us know.
Yeah, if you work for one of these companies.
Oh, I thought you guys were encouraging people to like throw a bag over somebody's head and like wrap it real tight and see whether or not they could get out of it, which
No.
I do not.
I'm just
condone.
saying from general life experience, which bags are stronger, the white ones or the black ones? It's a race discussion.
Wow,
Also-
Trace. It can't
I
be a
don't
race
think-
discussion because there's no diversity in this movie.
Yeah, it's true.
Wait,
I
no,
don't
that's
know.
where the diversity is. Oh,
In the
it's like the
bags.
undercurrent of blackness is no, not doing it. No.
I don't know if this is getting ahead, but if we're at the part where the dad is being murdered, can I please say stair sex?
Oh.
we're not
Or
we're
we
not
can
quite
wait.
there yet. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to be able to say stair sex when we get there.
Okay.
Jesus. That sad sex.
That's not until 1982.
This is true. Yeah, we've got to come back to the present day for a little bit first. So this is where we get our first prank call, and this is where we get to hear the iconic, recreation of the classic. And in this case, it's inquiring of Billy where Agnes is. So this is our first cue that there is another person involved. Now, Agnes does appear in the original in the phone calls, but of course, there's no explanation given as to who that girl is.
And it's shocking to me that the obscene phone calls in this movie are much less obscene than
Yeah.
the obscene phone calls in the original.
It's because
The
you're missing
other
your C
ones
word,
are
aren't you?
like-
Yeah.
Yeah, the other ones I remember as because I saw it in high school. And the first one being like, Jesus, like put a bar of soap in your mouth. These are ladies.
Yeah, he likes to repeat the phrase "pretty piggy cunt" a lot.
Oh, it's so gross.
Yeah.
But we do
Which
get a
can you
nice little
imagine
bit
back in 1974 too?
Oh, I know.
Yeah, when it's like women's rights were like already like in a way like, oh man, that's crazy.
Whereas nowadays it's like, oh, 2006. I'll just say the F word a lot.
But they don't even
Yeah.
they don't even drop cunt in this movie.
Nope.
But we do get a good bit of sass from
His voice isn't as scary either.
No, and I think sometimes it's like, I mean, it is different voices because that's kind of the thing of like what Billy or like what the killer in the original does is he can do the different voices, but like we do get a good bit of sass from Melissa when they're like star 69 him, and she's like that just calls him back unless there's something you need him to clarify.
Which again, though, like, doesn't that sound more like it should be coming from Lacey Chabert?
Yes,
Or is
it
that
does.
her?
No. Yeah, it's Michelle Trachtenberg saying this, but yes, it should be Lacey Chabert saying it.
I
It's just
honestly,
none of the characters are rounded out enough, so you can kind of like switch and pick personalities when
which
the scenes
is a fucking problem. You should
Yeah,
not be able to swap lines of dialogue for characters.
I mean, that's the thing, though. I know these girls, so I can distinguish them. But yeah, if they were a bunch of nobodies, like if you cast today's like Disney starlets, I guess, who are on the
Mhm.
Disney Channel in these roles, I would not be able to tell any of them apart.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, same.
Yeah. Okay. So at this point, this is again where Mary Elizabeth Winstead and drunk Lauren butt heads. And this is where it's revealed that Mary Elizabeth Winstead is secretly a Southerner, question mark?
She's a rich bitch
race
NASCAR.
car.
Yeah, race
Yeah.
cars.
Like, I love all of the constant refrains about the terrible family life that these girls have. And I know it's to underscore this idea that they are a sorority and that they are sisters, but everybody has a sister that they despise or a rich father that they're estranged from in this movie. What? So this is when we get our introduction to creepy interloper Eve, played by Kathleen Cole, and she just magically appears so that she can deliver a glass unicorn to Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and I quote, "Because you like the Bible and stuff."
That's funny. That's funny.
It's kind of funny, but also all I could think of was, is this girl meant to be like a little slow or like mentally disabled and she thinks that there's unicorns in the Bible?
I think she's supposed to be like the weird one, because she only gets in because her mom was a legacy.
Although
And
it's
so I
not
think-
even clear until they say that later on. It literally looks like this girl just appears on a doorstep.
Oh, totally. But I think she's supposed to be like the weird art major of the group, maybe.
Yeah.
She's
like, she
working
made
with
that
experimental
unicorn
glass
class.
blowing.
Yeah.
This is her final project. They were like, give it to a girl who makes your downstairs feel tingly.
She's like, I know a race car girl.
She's Southern. She'll like it. It reminds
Also,
her
her
of the
pony.
Bible.
Was it just me, or did her hair piece look like a wig, like that big ponytail?
Eve's?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe. I mean, it's just real flat. Her hair was real flat.
Yeah, Coke bottle glasses. Ugh.
So this is where we flash back to 1982. We've got Billy's
Your favorite
mom
phrase,
and-
Alex.
Yes, Alex, would you like to repeat it?
Stair sex.
Stair sex!
Stair sex to incest sex.
Oh, God.
Incest and pedophilia sex. Because we
Yes.
apparently can't escape pedophilia on this podcast in December or in the holidays.
Oh, Monty.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Fuck your mom.
I was trying to figure out whether or not... So obviously this is meant to be a recurring problem that her lover falls asleep when they're having sex, because she seems very irate that
Well,
it
no,
just
'cause she
happens
says-
again.
All the time. It's just something like that, like after he passes out.
Oh, I just kind of assumed it's because he's a drunk too, that it's like he
Yes.
just passes out.
But do you think that they've been trying in all of the different rooms in the house, and this is just the point where they got to the stairs?
Oh.
They're just breaking
never
in the
thought about
house with
that.
that
I
sad
thought-
sex.
Look, justification for the direction. I like it.
Well, I came up with an elaborate backstory about how she has a low cervical... No, I'm just... All right, yeah. So Billy's mom has apparently decided that it's not actually sex that she wants, it's that she wants another child. So she rapes her son and gives birth to a baby girl.
Her 12-year-old
Agnes.
son. Her 12-year-old son.
So gross.
With the rocking chair that just rocks. a
Who
little
probably
faster.
just started being able to make semen to begin with.
12-year-olds write into the podcast and let us know.
Oh my god, don't do that. We're going to get on the list.
We're already on a no-fly list. Let's.
I had I had to Google pedophilia on my computer when I was doing the summary for the X-Files episode because I wanted to make sure that I was like spelling it correctly, and I was like, "Oh my god,
Yeah,
I'm going to go on a list for this."
I
It's
mean,
okay, I've had
just
that
so
happen
many,
before.
so many things from this podcast over the last year, probably.
Yeah. That's true.
So this is where the editing plays a trick or treat fuck you on the audience, because we see Agnes's baby face and then the editing just cuts to Eve's face in the present. So we're inferring that
Yeah.
this glasses and ponytail freak is Billy's sister daughter. Just for you, Trace.
I love it.
Because she kind of is. She just never gets a makeover. You know, she's too busy losing her head.
Yeah, she gets three lines of dialogue, and then she gets decapitated off screen.
Yeah, I really felt when Eve dies, though. Like, the film just has a void that opens up without that character in it. Those 3 lines, they really make it.
I would have liked to see her in the fray a little more. See what she had to.
Well,
fucking
I
say
would have liked
about-
to see all these girls in the fray a little bit more.
Yeah, true. Because once there's only really the phone call, and then
I think there's
that scene
There's
with
3 phone calls
yeah,
and
3 phone
1
calls.
chase.
Yeah, and then all the girls kind of go off into like either pairs or their own direction, and I'm guessing it's because they could no longer afford to have all those girls in the same room.
The
Well-
shooting schedule just does not
Yeah,
allow
true.
it.
Well, and also because this movie takes place all in one night, whereas the original I
Yeah.
think is a couple days.
It is, yeah.
No, the original I thought was like a month.
I mean, it's
Like
it's not one night for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So Dana... Shit, which one is Dana?
That's Lacey Chabert.
Yes, so Lacey Chabert demeans Eve, while drunk Lauren becomes increasingly drunk and also increasingly profane. And outside, at this point, we get a point of view shot of someone climbing into the second story. So this is another homage back to the original.
Yeah.
And Mary Elizabeth Winstead is upstairs packing because she's had it with these girls. She's going to go home. We get a second phone call at this point, and this time it says that it's coming from Megan, so we've established a pattern that every new phone call will suggest that it's coming from the girl who was just murdered.
Right, because the first phone call was from Claire.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
And at this point, Kelly, aka nope, Katie Cassidy. There we go.
No, when you said Kelly, I was like, who's Kelly? And I was like, oh.
Which one is Kelly? Blonde one, brunette one, southerner one. Jesus Christ. Okay, so Katie Cassidy and Mary Elizabeth Winstead investigate, and what they discover instead is Kyle lurking nefariously in fucking Megan's room, and he's full of insights, and then he picks up the story.
To talk about Kyle in this situation.
Jesus Christ. So
wait,
this is...
what?
Like, okay. So, can we unpack this scene when when they find him in the room and all of the nonsense that he says, and Kelly is just like, okay, and it's like,
she's like, you just
why
act like an asshole, and I'm just gonna search this room.
Yeah, but it's also like the stuff he says about how he's like, I can sneak in. Like, it's so obvious he snuck in and fucked a friend before because he already knew how to sneak in.
Yeah.
And then she doesn't find it weird that he's just in her room. Like, not her room, Kelly's room, in that girl's room.
I do like that Mary Elizabeth Winstead fully goes after him, and she's like, so you climbed into her room and you don't know if she's in there?
Yeah.
This subplot, though, with the sex tape, I don't think needs to be in this movie.
It is
No,
useless.
Yeah.
It's just there to make you wonder, oh, is he trying to kill these girls to keep them silent? Because I always took it like he had fucked half of this sorority house.
But see, he's not effective as a red
And this is
herring,
also
though,
where they were...
because the movie shows you in flashbacks who the killers are.
Oh, no, and every time you see a girl get attacked, it's... Unless we're meant to maybe assume that the killer is wearing a stringy wig of blonde hair.
A la
You're
Cherry Falls.
Maybe, but it also doesn't seem like it's smart enough, because you've got the sanitarium scenes which tell you that there is a killer on the way.
My thing is the weirdness that also in this scene, they decide to reveal or at least solidify that he's a townie. And I just assumed he was, like, in one of her classes. Like, I was with Trace, I was like, this guy is way too fucking old to, like, be here. But I just assumed, like, maybe she's, like, a sophomore and he's, like, a senior.
No, I think he's supposed to be their age. I think that's the casting department's problem.
Yeah, but it's just...
I mean,
there was nothing given to us that he was a townie, and then all of a sudden he's like, I lived here.
That feels like just another callback to the original. Because in the original, he's a townie, and she's...
You can't rape a townie.
Yeah. Whoa.
That's what she says!
Barb, I'm guessing?
Yeah, Mario Kidder goes, you can't rape a townie.
Oh, God. Fellatio. Fuck, I love that movie so much.
So good.
Why are we talking about that movie?
Because you picked this one!
No, I didn't. Okay. Let's do another flashback, kids. Let's go all the way back to our year of the Lord 1991. So Billy sees a quote-unquote normal family in the house across the street using his new telescope that he gets for Christmas.
That's such a cool flex that they gave him a telescope to be like, look at this happy family across the street.
But also telescopes create voyeurs who become serial killers. Or sorry, spree killers.
It's very Rear Window.
Yeah. So
it's very Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh my God, you guys.
Black Christmas 2006 is Hitchcockian.
Recast Kyle with Shia LaBeouf. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So at this point, Billy abducts his younger sister out from under his mother's eye. And I do want to say that one of
younger sister, daughter.
Yes, sister, daughter. Yeah. I do love the fact that Billy's mom answers the phone with Merry Christmas. Hey, fuck you. I said Merry Christmas.
With a cigarette in her mouth.
There's this. I actually feel like this is where some of the really bitchy dialogue starts to pick the film up a little bit more, because we start to get some real cattiness from a lot of these actresses at this point on.
Well, she also at one point, like in one of the earlier flashbacks, she's like, the Russians gunned down Santa Claus. Santa's dead. The Russians.
Obviously the Russians. Because we're still in the... That would have still been in the 80s, right?
That was in the 75 flashback, so it's like pre-Cold War? I don't know. It's not important.
She's a psychic. Right. So Billy has abducted his daughter-sister. He nearly suffocates her with a plastic bag. He plucks out one of her eyes. He eats it. He stabs his stepfather through the face. And then he strangles his mother with Christmas lights and bludgeons the corpse with a rolling pin. He then bakes a sheet of cookies from her back flesh.
Which, also, in that scene, the way he throws the pan into the oven really pisses me off, because you can see, like, 3 of the things, like, fall off. And it's like, there's so much room on that pan for more than 3.
Well,
and then when he see the cookies, they're burnt.
I think I read that they use bacon for it. But you know,
looks like jerky. Yeah.
Him using the flesh like to make cookies doesn't really bother me that much. But what does bother me is when he dips them in milk. And it's a really, like, not a lot of this is a gory movie, you know, but it doesn't really gross me out that much, minus some of the eye popping when, like, the eye juices spray on the camera.
So much eye juice.
But the close-up of him eating the flesh cookie with milk, like, dripping off of it is just real gross.
Watching him tear it, like, there's actually quite a few close-up shots of his mouth as he's eating stuff. Like, when we see him in the sanitarium and he's eating that chicken, which, foreshadowing.
Yeah.
I don't care for close-ups of people eating at the best of times, but then just shoveling gross food in. No.
Yeah, it's weird.
I do think that this scene, the back cookies, I think this is one of the scenes that a lot of critics zeroed in on when they said that this movie was mean and gross, and it had completely missed the mark of channeling the energy of the first film, because it is just so far removed from what you would have seen in the original, which is subtle and understated.
Right.
Yeah, it's like this random Texas Chainsaw Massacre-esque, like, forced thing, which you kind of see later when in the attic, and it's kind of like the same with the dinner table, but it's all the sisters around the tree.
That's also what we were seeing, though, with a lot of horror remakes of this time period, because this is also the same year as the Hills Have Eyes remake, which that remake is much gorier than the original.
Very true.
Texas Chainsaw 03, which, as I've discussed ad nauseum, but like is gorier than the first one, but is not as gory as some of the things that would come after it. Like, that's just what these remakes did. They updated it for the 2000s with technology, and they added gore to it. And obviously Glen Morgan was trying to not do the latter part, and the Weinsteins wanted him to.
Yeah. So they were like, oh, that's funny, because you're going to.
Because it was still going to be a trashy movie that just wasn't gory, but then, okay, that's what you say. So what if it is mostly the same movie, but with the added gore, which I think that the gore makes it better, or at least more entertaining.
Well, I think it saves a bad movie by at least making it trashy enjoyable. And as we've talked about repeatedly with camp, this is, I think, unintentional camp, but it ends up saving it, and I think that's what modern audiences are now responding to. That's why gays in particular like this, because it's bitchy sorority girls, and it's over-the-top gore.
Right.
Well, and then there's also people like Katie Cassidy and stuff have gone on to, like, nowadays totally have.
It's true.
Like,
yeah,
they have their fans easily.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and Lacey Chabert with Mean Girls,
Mary Elizabeth.
oh, yeah.
Scott Pilgrim. How many people probably saw that and then fell in love with her?
Oh, yeah. I think Mary Elizabeth Winstead is probably the most famous out of all these actresses now.
Depends on if you want to give Lacey Chabert Hallmark credibility.
Well, they all have their own niche. Let's go with that. Except Michelle Trachtenberg, who doesn't really do much.
Nope.
Sadly.
I can't remember the last thing I saw.
She was in a movie with Katie Cassidy in 2011 called The Scribbler, which looked like a Sin City-esque, like, comic book vigilante movie.
Yeah, I'm just going to say no to that and continue on.
Yep.
Okay, so Billy is discovered by the police. He's declared insane. He's taken to the sanitarium. Agnes is put into foster care, and Kyle tells us back in the present that, she was lost in the system, because who, of course, would ever adopt a child with only one eye and a dark past?
Because she also got a lobotomy. They throw that in.
Oh, do they? I missed that
Yeah,
part.
that's supposed to be, I think, why her eyes fucked up later on in the movie, is because she was lobotomized.
I don't even think I watched this movie, because I don't remember that either.
It's literally like a blink and you'll miss it line when he's, like, doing his whole monologue.
Okay.
Also, can I just say that I love that blink and you'll miss it line has caught on, because those are different senses, and it is contagious. So thank you for supporting me, Alex. All right, so we're back in the present. Downstairs, there's a random stranger because this movie is, at this point, 40 minutes in, and we're still introducing new characters.
Yeah. And I like the Kristen Cloak character, Lee.
I love her, yeah.
But it just,
Do we need her?
Her arc with her and Claire doesn't make any sense.
Oh my god.
I haven't seen her in 12 years, but I'm super distraught and I won't leave the house until I see her.
She will
without
not
her.
leave the house until she finds her.
And then that brings me to a big question I had at when she finds Claire's body.
How does she know
and
what
I'm
she
like, how
looks
do you know
like?
that's Claire?
Yeah. Because again, she still has a fucking bag over her head, and yet everyone can identify her.
Like,
Claire?
is that the last
Are you okay?
fucking
What are you
outfit
doing?
saw her?
Claire? Jesus Christ. Okay, yeah, so this is Lee, played by Kristen Cloak, who gets work because she appears in her husband's movies, even though she's a really talented actress.
Well, because I've only
I
seen
like
her
that.
in this and Final Destination, and I think she was actually in something recently that I watched. But yeah, she doesn't really.
She's the teacher in Final Destination, right?
Yes, and she's married to Glen
Okay.
Morgan, and they have 4 kids together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So this is where the action starts to splinter out across different storylines. So we've got Kyle and Kelly working through their bullshit. We've got Lee discovering this baby dog gift from Billy under the tree. Mary Elizabeth Winstead goes to investigate because she remembers that Eve had a roll of newspaper, or she looks for something in her room. And then we've got drunk Lauren, who begins vomiting.
Well, 2 things I would like to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
When she's talking to her boyfriend, Kelly,
Yeah.
and they're trying to, like, figure out their shit, I love how he justifies what he's done by saying, like, look, I'm not knocking over 7-Elevens. I'm not doing gang activity. It's like, dude, what is your, like, level for being a decent human being? Like,
And also, what is
off.
life as a townie like? Because
Well, he's not getting
he's,
rich.
he's at the top and he's like, I'm just fucking multiple women behind your back. But I could be way worse,
and
guys.
filming it without possibly their consent,
But that's-
including
Oh,
you.
100% without their consent. Let's be
That's-
clear.
Again, it's something that feels like a product of its time. I mean, like, but it's just like, why
Oh my
make
god,
this...
do you think the Weinsteins got it from this?
Maybe.
Videotaping sexual
why-
encounters without the consent of their partners?
Why go out of your way to make this character so despicable? Like, I don't understand why this needs to be a thing in this movie. Why not just have him be a supportive boyfriend? But it's just about because in the original, like, you have the abortion subplot, so you have this guy, like, that's his arc.
But
It's like,
he's
I want to have this
a
baby.
huge dick in that movie.
I
He
would
is.
say for the sake of the theme, and this could be me giving
the
way too
themes
much
of
credit.
Black Christmas.
Well, I was gonna say the theme of sisterhood is maybe why they overtly made him like shitty.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it doesn't make much sense because it comes back later when Kelly says, "If my sister was missing, I'd go like look for her," and he's like, "You don't have a sister." And fucking
Sick
homegirl's like,
burn.
"She does."
Well, and did I can look it up, but did Bob Clark write the original?
Yes.
Yes,
'Cause
he wrote and directed it.
Because that's the thing about this trio of Black Christmases we have. Because the new one, it's written by a woman, which is the first time a Black Christmas movie has been written by a woman.
Yes,
But-
and I'm
Wolf,
ready for it.
Right?
But it's interesting though to see the original, which is a man writing these female characters that are female characters that I feel are very well drawn. They feel real. They feel like people that you would see in the street. And then you have Glen Morgan writing these characters who are caricatures.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's interesting to see like how, and that's why I'm excited to see the new one. Just to go from film to film and
Like,
see
to
how
see
women
how
are
it's
written.
going to be handled.
Yeah.
Yep, it's gonna be interesting. So this is the point where the power goes out. And this is actually where it's revealed that Kyle is a liar because the computer in Megan's room goes to battery mode and then reveals an image, to which I'm like, no, that's
That's not how it
she
works.
She left the video pulled up of them fucking.
Yeah.
Right,
I'm so upset, I'm just gonna leave it on the screen and have myself a little cry.
Yeah. And then they're stuck in this room for like, I feel like 10 minutes fighting.
Ooh, is this also when the peephole happens? That makes no sense. In the poster
Oh,
on
through
the
the
wall.
tag?
Yes, through
Yeah,
the
and
tack, which if you're going to be honest, and I love that they use that poster. So it's an old movie poster with Bette Davis, and there's giant eyes on the actors because it's an old-timey photo. And instead of doing the logical thing, which would be to poke out the eyes
The
of one of
creepy eyes.
these, which I think is what they do in the original,
Might be.
he pokes out a thumbtack. People, take a moment from your daily life, stick a tack into a wall, and then look at the size of it. You can't
Will your eye
see
fit?
shit in a hole that small. And that is the title of my sex tape. Thank you for coming. All right, so the power's gone out. Kyle's a liar. He gets kicked out.
And misogynistic.
Yeah, he goes on another huge rant here.
Calls them
amazing.
all bitches.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he
and then
does.
Miss Mac, when she gets that mom, like you, and she's like, she pushes him like 3 times, and I was like, get him, Miss Mac.
You get out of here. Claire, is that you?
Like,
Claire? So, drunk Lauren takes a shower, and this is also where we see that someone is able to see through the tiles, and I would also like someone to explain the angles on the glimpse of the eye seeing Lauren in the shower, despite the fact that the eye appears to be looking straight up, but also that there is a step that you have to go over to get into the shower.
If you're gonna,
that was a cool shower.
If you're gonna choose now to start questioning some of the logic in this movie,
I feel like, wouldn't it make more sense that the eye patch, like the eye holes, would be at like figure level, or they would be looking down so that you could actually see things? It defies so much.
My thing
logic.
is, even when he's looking and she exits, I kind of feel like you would have caught his eye, like because she kind of looks down at the floor, I feel like. But yeah, no, it's weird.
Yeah,
and the fact that when she like realizes that the tiles are coming up, she's just like, fuck it, and she like tosses it into the sink.
Yeah. Well, as we said, they moved into this house 2 years after that family desecrated it by having sad sex in every room, so they probably didn't do a lot of work, and it's falling apart.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lacey Chabert is tasked with going to the fuse box, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead finds out that there's incriminating evidence in Eve's closet that suggests that she's been keeping some kind of weird murder diary all about Billy Lentz.
Oh, I thought it was just like a shrine.
I mean, does it matter? Like this, like
it's like some Hey Arnold shit. Like Helga's, like,
yes, her gumdrop statue of Arnold.
Yeah,
her gumball statue.
She has like multiple printed papers, and it's like each sheet of paper is like one part of the picture.
Yeah,
and I'm like, girl, this is a walk-in closet. What are you doing?
Yeah, like no one's ever going to see it. It's the size of a wall. But I mean, Eve exists, again, just like Kyle. She's only here to be a red herring, because of course that's why they all flip out when they see her car is still there, because that must mean that she's the killer,
but then
whatever.
They immediately discover her head, so it's like,
there's
why?
No tension.
Yeah.
So this is the part where Lacey Chabert is killed underneath, and it's our first really good glimpse. This murder is clearly committed by Agnes, and ladies and gentlemen, here's your really weird sort of queer connection. Agnes is played by a man named Dean Friss.
And I think he's like one of the camera operators or something. Like he's not even an actor.
I think he was the first AC or second AC.
I have questions. Is this a sleepaway camp situation?
Well, no, I don't think so, because Agnes is very clearly like a female. I mean, no one asked her what her gender identity was, but like in the flashbacks, it's a little girl.
Well, also in the special features, they talk to the actor, and he mentions that it's supposed to be a girl, but I think they were trying to go for like a Jason thing where it's like a scary demeanor. I don't know. Also, this is my thing too, is the thing in horror movies with incest strength. It's just like everyone who's like wrong turn. It's like apparently.
Oh yeah, you've got like roid rage or something because you're inbred.
Because I don't know if this was what happened, but in the flashbacks with little girl Agnes, I don't know if they had any prosthetics on her face or if she just looked like that, and that's going to make me sound terrible.
Mm-hmm. She had Botox done.
Well, because it kind of had like in Hereditary, what Millie Shapiro, because like she had some prosthetic work on her face too to make her look a little bit off. Like it kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay, you know what? I got my reference wrong. I didn't mean Sleepaway Camp. I meant Pet Sematary. Original Pet Sematary, where they deliberately cast a man in a woman's role to make it uncanny and slightly monstrous. Like, you see someone and you know that the character is meant to be of a particular sex, but your eyes clearly can tell that it is not a person of that sex, and as a result, it becomes scary and horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is a dangerous road to walk.
Yeah, that really is.
I mean, I think just like our X-Files episode, that was not the intention. I think you've hit it on the nose. They wanted someone who could be physically intimidating. And yeah, Trace, you're probably right. They're suggesting this person was bred of incense. They're a little bit malformed, or like maybe she's got a bit of giantism to it and she's super powerful, but it's uncomfortable. I don't like this idea of, hey, let's cast people of different sexes and then have it be a weird kind of, what's going on here thing.
Or maybe it was supposed to be confusing because if it's two guys being cast as those roles, you could be like, wait, maybe Billy just got longer hair.
Well, that is true. Yeah, you're meant to assume at this point that there's only one killer and that this is Billy.
Yeah,
I legitimately think you are. If you're paying attention, it's completely obvious that there's two, because the murders happen before we even see Billy escape from the sanitarium. Like, Claire is dead, and we still see that Billy is in the sanitarium. So unless we're meant to infer that these are happening at different times, that's the only other explanation.
Maybe. I mean, it's just...
It's dumb.
This movie
anyway,
thinks its audience is dumb.
Yeah. Also fun in this scene, I don't know if that's really Lacey Chabert. So Alex, you mentioned that she was injured and that's why they had to do it this way.
Yeah, that is her, because they even show in the back behind the scenes stuff that like when she was doing the clawing and stuff, she got like mud and dirt in her mouth and shit.
Okay.
But yeah, no, that's her, but she had to lay down because again, I think she broke her ankle.
Or something. Her foot was ankle.
Yeah.
Her ankle was broken or something.
Okay, because if you had told me that that was a Lacey Chabert sex doll, I would have 100% believed it.
It really doesn't look like her.
It's just the like once she gets the rake in the back of her head, like the close up on her face looks not like her, but it might just be because she's covered in mud.
Yeah, and I mean,
really
maybe she's good at playing dead behind the eyes. So
yeah.
So this is the point where we get a third call, and it comes from Lacey Chabert's phone because she died under the porch. And the girls go to investigate. This is where they find Eve's cars parked outside in the snow. They open the door after like 2 minutes. By the way, a favorite thing about productions that are shot in Vancouver where it doesn't get very cold typically, but they repeatedly talk about how cold it is in the storm in this movie. And this is the part where Mary Elizabeth Winstead complains that she doesn't want to go out there because it's like 0 degrees out here. It's so cold. And she doesn't wear gloves. No one has any hats. And she touches metal with her bare hands to open that car door. Like, really? Production? Okay.
I'm going to be pissed off if I ever go to Canada or Vancouver specifically and the snow doesn't look like that if it snows.
It will look like that because it will be fake as fuck. So they find Eve's decapitated head. They find out that the landline has been cut, but because this is 2006, they have cell phones. So yeah, Katie Cassidy just calls on her cell phone. And
it's a smart move. I was like, oh, they call the cops. Good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the cops are basically like, go fuck yourself.
The other weird thing about this movie is that there is no police presence except for in the flashback sequences. So compared to the original, which has whole sequences.
If you want to count the security guard.
No.
He goes into a room and leaves a door open. So no, he has been demoted. I literally also forgot who you were talking about because I just purged that entire sanitarium sequence. So this is where Katie Cassidy and Miss Mac butt heads over how they're going to proceed. Miss Mac wants to leave so that they can ensure everybody's safety, which actually does seem like a really good idea. Katie Cassidy says no because they can't account for everybody's whereabouts because, of course, we've got a bunch of missing girls who are dead, but nobody knows it yet. And so Miss Mac and Mary Elizabeth Winstead go for help. This is where Mary Elizabeth Winstead is killed off screen.
We do get a fun little line reading though of like when Winstead doesn't know what the ice scraper is for the windshield.
Yeah. Stupid.
And she goes, "Are you kidding? bitch, freaking Southern princess.
Yeah.
But this,
How does she get killed?
well, we don't know. It's an off-screen kill.
Like, was her, like, head cracked open like an egg? That's all I imagine it was, maybe?
Well, it's the same blood splatter as Fat Santa back in the sanitarium, where there's so much blood from what appears to be just a single blow.
I mean, it could be a throat slit. But
maybe, yeah.
But either way, I hate off-screen kills, and that we just two in a row after the Eve stuff, and like we don't even see her body, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah. So she is just gone from this movie. Because I don't think does her body even show up in the Christmas tree in the attic later?
No, she doesn't.
Okay.
I did want to point out, though, I do love when her and Miss Mac are butting heads, and Michelle. Michelle goes, "I'm not leaving Lauren, you bitch."
Oh yeah,
because they're like, well, let's just leave the drunk girl in the bed and come back.
She really is a good friend to Lauren. Poor Lauren, just sleeping all this off.
Poor Michelle. Yeah. So this is also when Miss Mac is killed by a falling icicle in maybe the stupidest kill I've ever seen in a slasher film.
Oh, I think it's fun though. It's stupid, but like it feels like it belongs in a Final Destination movie.
Yes.
Yeah, and maybe that's the joke, you know?
Maybe.
But yeah, no, I could totally see, I don't know, it being a little joke to Final Destination / it being like, since she's like the quote unquote like most top iconic name, being like, I want the like easy peasy silly kill.
True. Yeah. It's kind of refreshing that we don't have to see a mature actress get murdered in some kind of, I don't know, less than dignified way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that I want to see Andrea Martin get the back of her head cut off by an ice skate.
Yeah, and maybe it was supposed to like play as like a, oh, what a shame. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh man, how far would she have gone if that didn't happen?
She could have been House Mother of the Year.
I mean, now that she's dead, she'll definitely get it.
Oh, right. Yeah, the sympathy dead vote. Posthumously. So Katie Cassidy and Lee, their screams lure Michelle Trachtenberg out of the house because at this point they've discovered bodies. And so Michelle Trachtenberg comes out of drunk Lauren's room, and this is where she gets attacked by Agnes. So she tries to fight back with ski poles, and I feel like a lot of people get really mad at this because she hits her a bunch of times, and then Agnes is obviously not down for the count, and then she just turns and makes a break for the window, and this is where she gets the figure skates to the back of the head.
And it's a pretty good death. I mean, you get full shot of like her skull-less brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked that.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense how the skates did that, but I liked it.
It's like a full-blown Lucy Liu from Kill Bill type, like, scalping thing, and it doesn't make any sense.
Nope.
Like, I would argue that this is less believable than the fucking icicle to the head.
They're both pretty up there. I think at this point, you're really meant to suspend your disbelief and say, people are getting crazy killed in this movie.
Right.
So Lee and Katie Cassidy sneak back into the house, and then together with Kyle, because of course he was the mysterious shadow that they saw out on the porch that they were trying to avoid, they then discover that Lauren has also been killed and her eyes plucked out.
Okay, wait.
Y'all, did you guys not have, because again, I watched the unrated
So did I.
DVD,
No, I was about to point that out too.
The fingering jerking off scene?
Yeah.
Excuse, what?
Okay, so Joe, I'm assuming you streamed this somewhere?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought my copy said unrated.
Well, so in the unrated cut, and I'm sorry, Alex, I'm going to talk over you, but
Oh, no, you're fine.
yeah, there's a scene where Billy gets into bed with Lauren, and like she feels someone like touching her and all this stuff, and then like it makes no sense because then she turns around and like she grabs the unicorn figurine and she like grabs it and like turns around and stabs, but like all of a sudden he's gone and she just stabs the bed, and then Joe, I'm guessing you didn't get Lauren's death scene. You just got her corpse discovery.
Yeah, she's got her arm crossed over her eyes, and they think that she's just sleeping.
Yeah.
And then Kyle and Lee get into a bit of an altercation. And I mean, because Lee literally just falls onto corpses this entire back half of the film.
So Billy, so there's the filling up of Lauren with Billy. This is, of course, when, Kelly texts Melissa, and she's like, you at... But basically, like
at question mark.
There is a scene, an extra little scene where Lauren is laying in bed and Agnes comes in and like you don't see her like actually stab her in the eye, but you see her grab the figurine and like stab
just like
her.
the original.
Yeah, just like it's just like the original.
Yeah, but it's just all the weird, like, where it seems like she's being fingered and she's like,
it's real weird.
Yeah, it's so fucking weird.
So
and
leaning even further into the weird sexuality of this film.
Well, what's weird is we didn't know that. Me and my roommate didn't think it was Agnes because the way the covers were moving, it looked like a dude was.
No, I
jerking
think
off.
I think it's Billy. I think Billy's the one doing it, isn't he?
Yeah, I thought it was Billy.
I thought it was a yellow person.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, Agnes isn't yellow.
Who could tell?
I mean, either way though, but like there's like full shots of the covers like moving and someone is like trying to finger her, but for some reason when she goes to stab him, he's just gone. So it's like
gone.
like notice
so
him
she's
get
having
out of
like
the
a
bed.
sexy Billy dream, maybe.
Maybe.
Well, point being is she just totally got sexually molested in that scene, and they were blasé as fuck about it.
It does give her more to do, and then of course we actually do get a death scene, so it's not just her body discovery that you see, Joe.
I'm sorry, no, I need to say it does give her more to do. Sexually assaulted gives her more to do, Trace? Come on, man. No.
Yeah, that's true. But I just like the character. But I did want to say though, because we didn't I know we didn't touch on the nudity too much, but I actually do think her nude scene, because this is what she does. Like she
the
gets
tasteful
naked in
arch
movies.
in the shower.
It's tastefully done for the most part. Like
Yeah, it's not like what it was in Wrong Turn.
Yeah, or Final Destination.
Final Destination 3. Yeah.
Jesus, this poor actress.
Yeah.
It's like, hi, do you need a girl to take her top off and then die horribly?
She's actually a person of color. She's part Asian.
Oh, really? Oh, that's right. I see she changed her name on IMDb, right?
Yes, she has a Chinese father and a Scottish mother.
Cool. Okay. Fun fact. That's your trivia. So at this point...
Brought to you by Horror Quiz.
There you go. The more you know. So at this point, everybody's dead, except for Katie Cassidy, Lee, and Kyle. And this is where they discover that Michelle Trachtenberg's cell phone, when they call you at ? For some reason, the text reveals the light of her cell phone and plays her...
The peephole!
accuse them that the killers are up in the attic. So, of course, Lee is like... We haven't found Claire's body, so she must be in the attic, and I'm not leaving until I find Claire. Claire, are you there?
It's just so dumb. It's like, look, I love my sister. I love her. I don't have 12 years of separation from her.
But if there was a killer in the house and the choice was to go up into the attic, you'd be like, bye, sis, I'll come back with the police in 2 hours.
And no one's seen her, but, like, we found a couple corpses. Bitch is dead.
Yeah, you gotta cut and run at this point, because unless you think you can take on inbred superpowered yellow people, it's time to cut and run. Yeah. Okay, so Kyle decides he's going to play the hero. He goes up to the attic first, and then he is quickly and hilariously dispatched. Because Kyle ain't no hero.
He's immediately killed. He gets he kind of gets away, but then like Agnes jumps him again and pulls his eyes out, and then we get another eye eating with the juice squirting on the camera.
This is true, but I do love how he is killed, where she basically just straddles him and then just shoves it up like she's pegging his face.
Yeah.
Love it.
I will say that Agnes says something at this point, and she sounds a lot like Fred Armisen, and then also looks like Fred Armisen at some point.
No, isn't it my daddy's here?
Yes!
now.
Yes!
She's like, your brother's not here. And she's like, no, my daddy's here now.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
It sounds like a Portlandia character.
I was going to say, this is
Armisen's.
basically just a Portlandia skit at this point.
Dude, that totally means that after all this, they were gonna fuck.
Oh, for sure.
100%.
Probably, like, using Eve's head as, like, some kind of prophylactic.
It was going to be a real American Psycho situation with, like, the head on the boner.
Yeah. So we get a bit of a fight sequence. We discover that everybody's bodies, except for Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who has peached the fuck out of this movie.
She's done. But like Melissa just died, and they got the body up there already. Like it's.
When did they have time to go and get Eve's head and stick it on top of the tree?
Right.
I'm pretty sure that there's more eyeballs than there actually were, and they're always connected. Did you how are you pulling out?
They're like, it's like what are those things called? Caltrops, like where you like throw they're two balls like together by a string and you throw them at people's feet to like trip them.
I think those are just testicles.
No.
No, it's like, I know what you're talking about. Batman uses them all the time in the animated show.
Yes, it's one of the weapons Catwoman can use in Batman Arkham City. I think they're caltrops, but I'm not 100% sure.
But in this case, they're eyeballs.
But that's they're
but
connected.
It's like, it makes no reason why they're still connected in like one, like
I want to see
tendon.
how they pull those out without damaging the eye, because are you meant to believe that they pluck one and then they pull all the way through?
Well, in some of the ones where they rip it out, they'll go as far as showing them eating one, and then it's like, well, you ate one. Why is there two on this?
Gonna correct myself. The caltrops are like the jacks-looking spiky things that you throw under someone.
Also used by Catwoman and Batman.
Yeah, that's where I was getting confused. The balls connected by a string are called bolas.
Of South American origin, I imagine.
Spanish.
Okay, so at this point, everybody's freaking out. Lee falls through the floorboards and knocks herself out.
It's kind of a cool, like, little set piece, because Agnes is below her, and then Billy's climbing down. Like, it's kind of cool.
Also, I think both those girls have awesome screams.
Oh, yeah.
It was a fun scene.
This is, for me, probably the highlight of the film. This whole sequence... This is the only part of the movie where I feel like there's actual genuine tension. When Katie Cassidy is trapped in the wall, we've got that ticking Hitchcock flaming Christmas tree advancing towards her in the baby carriage, as well as, Billy coming from the top and Agnes coming from the bottom, also the title of my sex tape.
You're on fire.
Joe, have we discussed if you're a top or a bottom before?
And let's move on.
Okay.
So
that sounds like a verse answer. Verse bottom answer.
I don't know.
So Lee breaks down the wall using someone's weights.
Oh yeah. And they're in it's in the laundry room, aren't they?
No, she goes to the laundry room afterwards.
I think I literally checked out like at various not like whole sections, but like 5-second increments. I would just check out because I don't remember this.
Oh, really? The reason that I remember it is because she accidentally breaks through the wrong wall and Billy grabs her. And there's that great scene. And she uses the weight. She smacks him like 5 times on the arm to get him to release her. And it's really
I think that
good.
was also maybe a Friday the 13th Part 2 little nod.
Mm-hmm.
Like through the window,
but
it's like...
It's a pretty common thing. I mean, we just fucking saw it in Halloween 2018 when Michael Myers reaches through the door to grab Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes, we just saw it in this 2018 film for the movie that we're talking about, which was filmed in 2006.
I just meant, though, that it's a common, thing that you see.
Yeah, it's a slasher. It's a total slasher thing.
Particularly when you're using your house as a weapon and people can move around in between the walls. It's also worth noting, actually, that this is one of the first films. I think somebody said on Facebook that there was a film from the 70s where somebody was living in the walls, but there's a string of killers living in the walls that occur after this film.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's its own other subgenre, but I've definitely, The Boy.
Yeah, The Boy.
Spoiler for The Boy, yeah.
Spoiler for Housebound. Spoiler for
The Pact.
Oh, Housebound is so fucking good.
Housebound's great.
Housebound is so good.
And I do want to say, though, that at this point, with the house burning down and what should be the end of the movie, it is the 75-minute mark.
Which is a reasonable, it's a respectable time to end a film.
But if they were to take out all that backstory or condense it, then it's like...
But that's also the thing, though, so this is the 75-minute mark, but there's only 8 minutes of this movie left.
Yeah, but it's an excruciating 8 minutes.
Well, so it's just Katie Cassidy and Lee, and
but not even. We have to get the stupid scene where Agnes and Billy wake up in the morgue with the guy who's cheating on his wife by he's hanging around to get drunk on eggnog and rum.
Yeah, and he's drinking the eggnog out of a beaker.
Now, see, this reminded me of Friday the 13th, the final chapter when Jason wakes up in the morgue and there's the guy.
And that guy's just eating that fucking hamburger or whatever.
Yes.
This is actually also a very I feel like American movies in particular love to have coroners who just eat inappropriately around dead bodies. It's a bit of an X-Files thing too. So at this point, it's basically just the end of Scream 4. Katie Cassidy goes for x-rays. This is where Agnes drops in from the ceiling. She breaks Lee's neck, which I will never forget this movie for.
Yeah, she should not have died.
She should not have died.
Yeah, should not. I agree with that. Also, you left out the fucking, before Lee's neck, the watch.
Oh my god, no, I can't.
The long-awaited gift from her missing sister Claire. It's just a watch that says "Family Forever" on it. It's the most like eat, pray, love bullshit.
This bitch that you haven't seen each other in 12 years, and like you're estranged and whatever, and this watch is what you get her.
It should have been a gift card to JCPenney that on the back said, "I didn't know your size. We've never met."
Okay. But wait, this is when we're getting back to the next Scary Movie 3 reference, because that's of course what they're referencing in this movie. Is Kelly comes back in the room and she finds the bloody watch, like blood all over it, and she just goes, "Lee, where are you?"
Claire? I mean, Lee?
Bitch, where are you at?
Bitch, she is dead.
Oh, and the blood leaking into the overhead thing.
The overhead lights? I do kind of like that, though.
Well, because they get the body up into the ceiling because they're acrobats, and...
Yeah, but did they just, like, blood... Like, why if they just simply snapped her neck?
Yeah, that's true. Why? Maybe they were...
Drinking it?
Yeah, who knows?
Taking the eyes?
Oh, yeah, they probably took the eyes. Fuck off. She's locked in this room. She can't get out. This is when Agnes drops down. She uses the defibrillator, which is 100% Scream 4.
Again, though, Scream 4 was 5 years after this.
Yeah, like, this is where Scream 4 gets it all from, is what I've always argued.
Guys, still Weinstein, so who's to say they weren't
Weinstein was like,
just...
y'all, we didn't do the hospital right in Black Christmas, so let's get it right in Scream 4.
Or, y'all, nobody saw Black Christmas, and no one will even notice. We can just replicate it shot for shot. So Agnes is defibrillated to death. This is when Billy drops down. Fucking worst night ever for Katie Cassidy.
Yeah.
She breaks the little tiny pane of glass out using her IV stroller thing.
Is that the technical name for it, the IV stroller thing?
Yeah. Very technical here on Horror Queers. Hospital people sent us in the right name. She runs down the hall. She runs over an orderly, knocks over his cart.
I felt so bad for that orderly. I was like, it looked like they just cleaned up someone shitting themselves, and then she just barrels into their stuff.
We get like this also kind of Looney Tunes moment where he trips Katie Cassidy with, I think, a crutch.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yes.
And she just face plants into the tile.
Yeah. He really is magical. He's super magical, right? So he picks up a scalpel. He stabs her in the back as she's running
3
away.
times.
Yeah.
And then he goes to get her as she leans up against the banister, and she uses his momentum to propel him over the edge and onto the top of the Christmas tree. And at this point, as she stares down at his glistening entrails, the dance of the Sugar Plum Fairies brings this film to a close.
Which was used throughout the movie like 15 fucking times.
Yeah, it must have been public domain.
And then there are 10 minutes of closing credits.
Which how?
I don't know. I literally was like, maybe this is a mid-credits scene or a post-credits scene.
Or like outtakes.
Nothing. I will say, so there are 3 alternate endings. 2 of them are stupid. The one that is fine, it's literally the same thing, like the whole watch thing, whatever. But instead of her getting taken away for x-rays, then her phone rings and it's coming from Kyle's cell phone,
which I think would probably be better.
Well, it just has them both looking at the cell phone and the camera pans out of the window and then it blacks out. So reminiscent of the original, but obviously not as bloody.
Right. Okay. What are the other 2?
Lee still gets killed in both of them. What?
They're so unmemorable, you can't even remember.
I do remember both of them end with Katie Cassidy's parents taking her home, and like the last shot is like her being walked out of the hospital with her parents. But in terms of like anything different that happens,
that wouldn't make any sense because I thought they made it clear that like she had she had to work for Christmas.
Yeah. But her parents definitely come. But I mean, like the second and third alternate endings are very similar. I don't even remember what the difference is.
Okay.
I don't know. It's whatever. It's unimportant.
Yeah, so this film is over, and we're nearly done. Does anybody have anything else pressing that they want to talk about with Black Christmas? I do like Lacey Chabert's line reading of "Are you high?" when she's asked to go out and fix the fuse box.
And right before that, when Lee and Miss Mac are talking, and she just stops her, and she's like, "I love that coat."
Let's face it, the coats in this movie are pretty darn good. I like the fashion.
There are moments of inspiration, of fun. I mean, I feel like they had fun making this movie, but it's you just got to make that damn flashback shit the first pre-title sequence and never go back to it again.
Yeah.
And give us more time with these girls. I really think if you do that, this becomes a good movie to me. Like, maybe not a great one. It's still dumb as fuck. It's still trashy. It's still kind of sometimes in poor taste.
But we like all those things.
Yeah, but it embraces that for the most part in this movie. Like, this movie doesn't shy away from being like
dumb,
in poor taste, and dumb.
That's what I hope the new remake kind of learns from this. Is like, I hope the characters are going to be like a lot more rounded and kind of like.
I 100% think they will be. Like, if there was a lesson to be learned from this film, it was that you can't just say, oh, girls are sisters and sisterhood forever. Like, you've got to spend the time and build the characters up.
I read a plot detail from Sophia Takal that part of the Imogen Poots' character's backstory is that she's been recently sexually assaulted.
Jesus.
I
okay.
Figured that
so
was
that's swapping out
major.
the darkness of the abortion for something a little bit more timely.
But then it's like, okay, well, knowing that, why don't you... I'm sorry, I know it's like marketing and trailers, and listeners, if you want to hear us talk more about this movie, like, go to our Patreon, but it's because we haven't seen it yet as of this recording. But it's like you spoiled the frat stuff, and you could hinge a trailer based solely on, hey, this girl who's getting over a sexual trauma, like a sexual assault,
is being
and like,
threatened by a sexual predator on campus.
Yes, that's. I mean, again, I haven't seen the movie. Maybe you can't do it that way, but I feel like that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
I guess also they maybe had pressure to really sell the sister, like the cast. Like, and maybe that's why they overshowed them in the trailer to be like, yeah, there's like a lot of badass girls doing cool shit.
Right.
Yeah.
And this, like, just again, like, knowing how marketing is, they'd be like, nobody wants to see an intelligent movie. We gotta make it look like the most slasher thing ever.
Or if you're going to have a slasher film with a bunch of sorority girls in 2019, you've got to have them fighting back. Because if not, people won't accept it.
And the thing is, too, how we're talking about how if this movie had, like, unknown actresses, this remake, besides Imogen Poots, is really, at least to me, a bunch of unknown actresses. So
I think for the PG-13 audience, the other girls are not super unknown for them.
Okay.
From what I understand. I tried doing research, but like, yeah, for me, Imogen is the one that I know.
Right.
Well, if these are well-rounded characters, it won't matter. Which is
Exactly.
which is what this movie was missing. But
Yeah.
I will reiterate, I mean, this movie, I still have, like, I had fun with it this time. I can see me putting it on drunk on Christmas Eve or whatever, but...
Watch it with a friend.
Yeah, but
for sure.
I still have, like, this... Like, I've been personally attacked, like, with this feeling of missed opportunity with this movie. And
you've been personally attacked.
No, but that's what it feels like. Where it's like, it hurts me so bad because I've seen...
Dude, Alex opened this episode by talking about how he was personally attacked while watching this movie.
What was it? Laganja Estranja. I'm being attacked! But because of the fact that I knew that we're getting a new one that might do something more interesting with this story, so the stupidity of this one doesn't bother me as much, I guess, maybe. But it's a forgettable film with some really cool gore and some funny bitchy one-liners. But the people who praise this movie for like, oh, it's so fun and bitchy, it's like, kinda.
Also, this was before, though, we were gifted with Sorority Row.
Right, and Sorority Row is a much better example of that kind of bitchy humor, like, pervading the film. And even though it's not, like, a smart script, like, particularly, but, like, at least I think those girls are more well-rounded than the ones in this movie.
Okay, so you guys have actually stumbled onto the game. So, a couple of weeks ago for the Jawbreaker episode, we had a lot of fun pitching Catherine from Cruel Intentions versus Rose McGowan's character. So I would like to know, in the battle of the bitchy sororities, who is better able to fight off a killer? The girls of this movie or the girls of Sorority Row?
And we can't mix and match our team?
No super teams. You can't move Leah Pipe over to this movie.
I feel like the girls in this movie, I mean, other than Katie Cassidy, like, and I guess Kristen Cloak, the girls in this movie don't do a lot of, well, no, Michelle Trachtenberg does some good fighting.
I'm sorry, it's just Brianna Evigan. She fucking killed
I'm thinking about how useless Rumor Willis is in Sorority Row, though.
Ooh,
but
she's pretty bad. Even the sister, whatever the sister is.
Oh, yeah. But she does have that good line of like, well, you might want to fix that hair first because it looks like shit. You know what? The girls of Sorority Row are better. They'll win the battle of the verbs, of the words, but the girls of Black Christmas will win the battle of the fists.
Okay.
I gotta disagree.
It's fine.
Because again, I'm gonna say Brianna Evigan's gonna take it out of the park. She's a solo final girl.
Okay, so it's all coming down to one girl for you.
I just think she's such a key player that I can't discredit.
I think both
house.
Brianna Evigan and Katie Cassidy are pretty good final girls in these movies. But Brianna Evigan has more of a character to work with than Katie Cassidy does in this movie, because all Katie Cassidy has to do is be upset about her cheating boyfriend.
Right.
Well, Katie Cassidy has more of like terrified screams and like I'm in horror screams, and Brianna Evigan has more of like.
Well, because
like,
Brianna Evigan kind of sounds like a man.
Wow, Trace.
I mean, I say it with love, but she has like the deep raspy voice. You know, Katie Cassidy does not have that.
Both gorgeous women.
Oh
True.
yeah, 100%.
I will say I really love Katie Cassidy's sweater in this movie. That's
Yeah.
I mean, I like Katie Cassidy, y'all. I
I
liked
love
her hair,
her
too.
I have always loved Katie Cassidy.
I have too.
Same.
And she plays a good bitch too. Like she's not doing it in these movies, but she does a good bitch.
Yeah, she's actually very versatile.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a vote, Joe?
Not really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listeners, let us know what you think about this movie. I mean, again, as we've discussed, I mean, I had a guy. I won't say his name because his opinion is is not good. Loves this movie, which is fine, but he, like me as a high schooler, thinks the original is boring, super boring, and not in the least bit good. So people think that, and it's just like, okay, well, watch it in 10 years when you're older.
Well, they just do feel like films for different generations too, right? Like films from the 70s are slower. They don't have the MTV style video editing of the kills. Like they don't go for the gore in the same way. So I think that people can like both equally. I feel like if you value character development, that's why you're probably more inclined to lean towards the 70s. If you like your gore, if you like your faster pace, you know, the 2006 version is good for that, and maybe the 2019 will be the perfect middle ground.
Maybe. I mean, again, I know people are hating on this new remake already, but I'm looking forward to it.
I think the rating thing, I think is absolutely silly to judge a movie on.
Oh, always, yeah. And go back and check out that PG-13 versus R rating minisode, which we have plugged a million fucking times.
Okay, well, I think that'll probably wrap up our discussion on Black Christmas. But before we announce what we're covering next week, Alex, if you want to plug anything, this is your chance.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you guys so much for having me. Long time listener, first time guest. What I would like to pitch most is if you guys are filmmakers yourselves and you make short horror shorts of any subgenre, any media, please send that to me and Tony. My email is awiggins@bloodydisgusting.com. We review everything. We're a super cool team. We love expanding the genres we cover. There's, I think, over 1,000 something filmmakers involved. And we have a group where once you're in, we add you on Facebook so you can collaborate with other filmmakers from around the world and ask questions and all that. Tony Wash, again, is in charge of it. Amazing, kind dude, and it would be really awesome to, turn out some more people.
Nice.
That's awesome. And obviously, thank you for coming. I know I feel like I invited you on a long time ago, so I'm glad you're finally able to make it over here.
Yeah.
On this movie. So yeah, and if you want to reach us on Twitter, you can reach me at Trace Thurman.
And I am at Beast on my remote. That's the letter B.
And if you're tweeting about the podcast, please be sure to use the hashtag HorrorQueers. You can also email us at horrorqueers@gmail.com or join our Facebook group. Please also head over to iTunes and leave us a rating or a review. We love all of those. And if you want even more content, please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/horrorqueers. As we already discussed, you'll get an episode on Black Christmas next week, but we also have from last month an episode on Dr. Sleep, which saw Joe and I disagreeing mightily about.
Mm-hmm. Sparks may have flown.
What are we finishing 2019 with, Joe?
Yeah, so we're going to take the last week off. Well, not technically, we're going to be doing things behind the scenes, but we've got one more week of regularly scheduled content for you. And folks, we are going to revisit some television. So Trace, I'm excited. We are in agreement that this is the best season of American Horror Story. So we're going to go back to season 2. Revisit Asylum. We're going to be talking broadly about the entire season, but we're going to be specifically zeroing in on 3 episodes. I Am Anne Frank Part 1 and 2, as well as, of course, in time for the holidays, we're going to be looking at episode 8, which is Unholy Night.
Can I throw in a little fun fact about this since you guys are doing Asylum?
Yeah.
I actually got to work with, I worked on a movie called The Intervention, directed by Clea Duvall, and the DP, Polly Morgan, was the DP for Asylum.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, super cool girl. Had tons of interesting stories about how a Ryan Murphy American Horror Story set runs.
God,
You know,
I can only imagine.
My husband got to talk to Lou Taylor Pucci at Fantastic Fest this year because he was on 1984, and he was basically saying,
Nice.
you don't know what's happening half the time.
Yeah, we will talk about that next week.
Yeah. But yeah, okay. Well, on that note, I think we can cross out Black Xmas.
Yeah. Yes, and cross out horror queers.
Bloody Disgusting Podcast Network, home of creepy, disturbing, and terrifying creepypastas, SCP archives, weekly full-cast storytelling, horror queers, genre commentary from an LGBTQ perspective, and the Boo Crew, horror-centric interviews. Listen free wherever you stream audio and at bloodydisgusting.com/podcasts.
Get in, losers. This is the Lady Killers, a Feminine Rage podcast. I'm Jen.
I'm Sammy.
I'm Rocco.
And I'm May. Our podcast is a tribute to the female-identifying killers in horror and more.
Each episode will feature us, your Supreme Court of female murderers, discussing our favorite lady killers, from your Julias and Jennifers to your Carries and Christines.
We'll tell her story, decide if it's good for her horror, and answer the most important question of all: would we die for her?
Join us on Thursdays as we pull on our sweaters, snatch our ice picks, sharpen our scissors, and honor the lady killers who live on the silver screen.
No boys were harmed in the making of this podcast.
Yet.
Hello, I'm Shelby Scott, the host of Scare You to Sleep, a podcast where I tell you spooky bedtime stories full of creepy sound effects and music that is soothing yet unsettling to help immerse you into a world of horror. This is a show for those of us who have realized horror can be a strange but relaxing escape from reality. Speaking of escapes, sometimes I lead you through guided nightmares, like a guided meditation, but instead of flowery meadows, I take you on a journey through your own personal nightmare. So come get lost in the terror with me. Listen to Scare You to Sleep wherever you listen to podcasts, or find us online at bloody.fm. Sweet screams.